July 24th, 2024 at 7:14. I open our regular meeting. We already did our roll call and our Pledge of Allegiance and our prayer. I need approval if there's any additions, deletions, or substitutions to the agenda. Is there any at this time? No. Can I have a motion to approve of this regular meeting?
Motion.
Motion by Santana. Do you have a second?
Second.
Second by Roberto. All right. Do we have any public comments at this time?
Yeah,
Christopher?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm Chris. I'm here to talk to you guys again about Arboleda Street. So the lawyer gave me the paperwork for Arboleda Street that the Florida Department of Agriculture is taking action against the farm. But I don't know if you guys had time to read through some of the paperwork on it.
I just got it today.
Oh, you guys just got it
Yeah.
today? You guys get to skim through a little bit. Part of what it says there says that the inspector had a hard time inspecting because of the overgrown grass there and all the water all the still water on the drainway. And I have a couple questions. Now, my first question is, I know that water management is responsible for the swells, right? And the running of the water, right? How far deep are you guys responsible for cutting the grass? To what? How far off the roadway to the fence? What is it that you guys cover?
Property line.
Property line? So property line will be 15 feet from
It would be from the corner of your fence to the corner of the neighboring.
But I'm saying the swell. You guys cut the grass on the swell, and then how far back from the swell?
The top of the swell.
The top of the swell. Okay. So then on this paperwork as well, 2 feet from the fence. Okay.
Yeah, from the
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah.
So in this paperwork as well, when you guys go through it, you guys will see that out of the fence line, the inspector also found pipes of water from the Tilapia farm going into the swells. Water management swells. So if you guys are cutting the grass there, right, and you guys are responsible for maintaining the swells and the grass and all that stuff, who has been cutting the grass there, one, and hasn't noticed the pipes of running water coming into there? That would be something good. Two, even here it says it, on March 14th, they couldn't do the inspection because the grass was overflowing. So where is the money that has been allocated for water management to maintain the roads and the grass and the trees off the road? Where's that money going towards an overtime? Because I've been here for the past 5 meetings, so I've got to listen in a little bit on some of the budgeting stuff that you guys talk. And a lot of money goes into overtime, a lot of money goes into paying employees, and I don't see, as a resident of Montura Ranch, I don't see any of the work getting done. Now, whether that's a management problem or whether that's maybe the person who is running it right now is not, up to the par. You guys had opened up the position. When are you guys hiring somebody for that position who we can hold accountable for these things? Because I came to the meeting and you, David, specifically told the person, Becky in charge, hey, give this guy a date when you guys are coming back 4 meetings ago. I still haven't heard back. I called the office.
You mean Daniel?
Danielle.
Okay.
Oh, Danielle, there you go. Sorry, Danielle. And you said to call him back, give him a date when you guys are coming back. Nobody has come back because you guys were working on a specific problem on whatever street, down wherever, that hasn't gotten done for 4 months. So then that shows me that either the person running it, which right now is Becky, right, is either not being on top of her people, making sure that they're working, or that what's going on. It's a joke. I made it to myself, and I've made a post, on Facebook, because that's the best way of reaching most of the people in the community, especially the people that can't make it to the meetings, being at the time that it is, and people work. So I did, and you can see that there's a lot of comments, 50, 60 comments of people saying the same thing about the roads that you guys are responsible for. You guys were elected, right, to make sure that these things get done here, and the money keeps getting taken out every year, but I don't see any of the progress. And at least in my case, how many of you guys have gone out to Arboleda Street and Horse Club? I know Chris went out I know Chris went out, he even sent pictures, he's called me a couple times, he's reached out. The lawyer now gave me a letter. I thought I was gonna be CC'd in this, but bueno, he gave me the email that he sent out now after 30 days and gave me this paper. But even on this paper, it says that you guys were wrong. They said, the state of Florida found that you guys, if you guys are maintaining the roads, you guys should have seen those pipes going into our swells. This is on record, right? And this goes on YouTube. So all of you guys, everybody on the board knows what's going on. So when you guys do vote for Becky to become manager, I hope you guys hold all of this into accountable, because she needs to be held accountable for what's going on here. She's the one running Montura as interim manager for as many months. What's going on with Montura for the past year? I've been here for 5 years, and this is the worst that the streets have ever looked. The grass is overgrown, and the only way that they get cut, I went and knocked on the neighbor's door across the street, and the grass got cut on Horse Club for 3 streets because she had to call them and have them go out there. And then I complain, and you guys, I go on the street, and I have a video of the guys from Water Management cleaning on the side of the roads, the dirt on the side of the roads. That's a waste of time. When you have roads that are now the water season, rainy season starts, hurricane season starts, all those roads are going to get flooded. Who's going to go help us out then? Because if the problem that she's trying to fix still hasn't gotten done in 5 months, and you were doing that because the storm's going to start, and you guys are still working on it because you said when you were done, you guys were coming to my street and then Irán Street. So you guys are still working on that, right? 5 months. And you guys are still working on that? Then there's a problem with management. Problem with management or problem with the employees? Who's going to hold her responsible for this? She's been running it for a year now, right? How long? Who's gonna hold her responsible?
So let's start with your swell. We just received this paperwork from our attorney, so I haven't had time to look at it or review it. I did tell her, as well as the board, did tell her to get back to you regarding a time when they were going to go out there to address the issue, to look at it. After speaking with her on numerous occasions regarding the issue, she did state to me that they were dealing with another red ticket item. Many of us did go out there and look at the issue. Like I stated, we don't deal with the day-to-day. We do oversee our interim manager. And that is an issue that we did bring up to her. Hey, let's look into this. But also on the other fence, it's not just us repairing and fixing the swell. It's also a legal issue. So we have to make sure that everything we do, we speak with our attorney regarding that. So the decisions regarding your swell in particular, we were treading very lightly because we wanted to make sure that our attorney was also aware of the situation.
But in reference to your swell, if you don't mind me speaking.
Yeah.
So I've been by your place several times as well. Seen you out there as well, do a few things. So the engineer is here. Chris works in the industry that you're making reference to. I work in the industry that you're making reference to. Your street does move water. I know you had a complaint a few months back that, hey, we're getting ready to go into rainy season and my swell's not ready. So unfortunately, there's a lot of people's swells that are not ready in Montura, right? But so we've had a very active rainy season already. I drive Montura on the weekends, just like a lot of people do on the weekends, and there's not as much standing water as before. Swells are designed to hold water, Steve, correct? That's what they're there for. And they move it slowly. Yes, you're on the record. You're being listened to.
Right here it states that March 14 is when the inspector went out there and he reached out to you guys that they couldn't do the inspection.
He didn't reach out
to her, to her office, and that's the only reason why it comes to find out now it's in black and white.
Your swell is on a different side of the road.
Yeah, but the only reason that specific soil got cleaned up was because the agriculture inspector went there and he couldn't do his job.
So I think
Here's my point. The only way that things are getting done is when people come here to complain. And I don't think anywhere in your rule book it says that the people that live here in Montura Ranch are supposed to come up here and complain about the streets that you guys or her office is supposed to be managing the water flow and making sure that everything's running right.
So
there's pipes running straight into here. There's pictures of it. There's proof now. Now it's not just This guy comes here and complains for 5 months. Now there's proof in black and white.
There's always been proof.
Well, now there's pictures.
so let me-
What are you guys gonna do?
So let me explain something to you, all right? So before you came up here complaining,
Yeah,
that place has been called many a times,
okay.
even when I sat as a chair. So there's a lot of things that you don't know what happens behind the scenes, right? There's a lot of times when you call DEP, the environmental group, and so on and so forth, it's a process, is it not, John? They don't do it overnight, even with the sheriff and the illegal dumping. There's been a few fish farms that were busted. They pay the fine, Chris, they go to jail, they pay the fine, they're back in business. So again, I want you to understand is that,
I think we're running out of time.
no, hold on.
I'm not worried about the fish farm. Like,
No.
I'm not, they can stay there for like,
No,
I'm
no,
worried
no.
about the roads and making sure that you guys.
Hold on a second.
If they're doing something illegal into our waterway,
that's
right?
what I'm getting ready to go
That's
to.
your responsibility to
That's-
make sure they don't.
So it's not just our responsibility, so it's the inspector's responsibility, because these fish farms have a permit, that's what I'm trying to get to next.
Yeah.
They have a permit, they must maintain all of their stuff on their property.
Okay.
They can't illegally dump into our drainage system, just like other people have dumped into the canal.
Yeah, and our guys don't cut the grass 2 feet away from the fence line? So you mean to tell me for all these years, nobody from water management who cut the grass along the fence, I'm not getting off topic, I'm
No.
staying right on topic.
Stay on topic.
Everybody who's been cutting the grass there under her management for the past year has been going to that fence and cutting it, and nobody's noticed the pipes and complained about it. Until I came here,
That what we'd have to ask, brother, we'd have to ask that question.
because that sounds ridiculous.
We just got
And
this
not
letter.
only, it's not only on one side, it's on 3 sides of the fence.
Christopher, we just got this letter
Okay.
as of right now,
How
so
long did he get it?
that's a question that we have to ask our management and our attorney
I just got
regarding
this right
that.
now,
But yes,
and it's been since March.
yes, and to reframe something to you, we as the board, we work for you as the constituents. So you bringing your concerns and issues and addressing it before us is what we're supposed to do, is hear it out. Now, if our management or our attorney's not doing what they are asked of, and there's more to it because we are not here day to day, so we have to ask them what's actually going on behind the scenes, like Supervisor Self said, then that's what we have to take into account. It's not that we're not listening to your concern or wanting to address your concern. There's a lot of people here in Montura, a lot of growth here in Montura, and a lot of projects. So yes, the stuff that you did mention and bring before the board is a concern, and yes, we are going to look into it and to address it.
But the bigger concern now is the management, because besides all of that, it boils down to the same thing. Why are they cleaning up the sides of the road if there are streets that are underwater?
Understand?
Why is that happening? I would love
There are-
to. Can she
Chris,
say
there's
something?
other projects that our interim manager is dealing with that we have to ask her to take into account. Now, if we address
the
the
public
issue,
in here.
if we address the issue and we see, hey, that this is a concern that has happened numerous times under your management without any solution, then that's when the board will have to take a decision.
I can start naming all the streets that are on the post. But need me to?
So
And we could go back to, there's somebody here who's been on a supposed waiting list for 4
Oh, I
years.
agree with that. I agree with that statement.
Where's
No.
that waiting? And then on this record,
Okay,
I'm sorry,
if we can't have a civil conversation, you speak and then he speaks, we will move forward with the agenda, okay? Go ahead.
If there's someone on a list for 4 years, how can she, on this record, 3 months ago, say that I am next after the problem that they're resolving? That's a lie. They're lying to the public, trying to have us, they won't come back, they're wasting our time.
So-
And you guys
Go ahead.
need to hold her accountable and hold the employees accountable for what they're doing,
Gotcha.
please.
So in reference to holding water, so since I came on the board about 7 years ago, right? If the residents of Montura don't know, and the people that have purchased property in Montura don't know, there is a shallow side or a low side to Montura. That is in the entrance part of Montura. When Flaghold turns into, what's that name, Woodland? That whole area, that is the lowest point in Montura. That and all the floods and everything would happen in that area first. When Herminio was here, we gave him direction to change out a lot of culverts. We spent at least $200,000 to $300,000 in culvert piping, this, that, and the other, and we went to work with the engineer that was in there at that time.
if you notice till now, nobody in that area has flooded because the improvements that have been done to drainage. But as Mr. Self will tell you, and I will tell you, we have to get a better grasp of our pitch and our runs from our roads to our swells, to our canals, the vegetation, the silt, and all that stuff. But that area we would get complaints every time. They blow you up on Facebook. Hey, guys, what? It's raining? Are you running the pumps, right? So again, nobody has done that. So we are spending money in that area. But most of Montura is not paved roads. Most of Montura probably will not be paved roads because the amount it will cost. But the maintaining of the roads, the addressing the calls and those type of things, yes, we have to do a better job of that. Including myself. Guess who's on that list as well? My name's on that list as well for a complaint of roads not being done. Because how many times have I texted you on the weekend, hey, by the way, you need to come down Ball Cypress and such and such. My car almost fell off in a ditch.
So then, it goes back to the question, when are you guys opening the applications for that position? Is that position being opened? When will it be filled? You guys need to hire someone more capable of running the place. It goes down, if it's not, what is it, it's not enough employees, then maybe we need some of the budget to hire more employees. What is it that needs to get done? Isn't it, it should be done, right?
Of course.
At some point, you guys kept up with it, right?
100%.
Okay.
So,
Thank you,
that's why-
Christopher.
thank you.
One thing I just wanna bring up
You
about
guys
it-
are on the record that it's not getting done right, and there are many complaints about this. So when you guys vote for that position, I hope you guys keep that in mind.
Thank you, Christopher.
Yeah, so one thing I noticed on the side that was done,
The west side of the road, there's a lot of sediment stuff inside of the culverts and stuff, and
100%.
and as you go off the main road of Horse Club, it's a lower elevation. Then when it comes around the curve, it steps up probably by another 5 inches.
How many
and then,
times have we said that?
So, well, but that's a new ditch that they did.
Right.
So it has to get regraded, and then a lot of sediments covering up the culvert. Because whenever it was raining, I went out there and it was being restricted. So it's something that's going to have to be kind of, fixed too. So yeah, but as far as, like I said, as far as it flowing,
It'll get by.
well,
It'll get by.
right, but it
But
needs.
it'll hold some water.
Oh yeah. But a lot of that has to do with just the grade of the elevation of the ditch too.
Okay. We're gonna move forward into our old and new business. Can I have a motion? Motion by Santana. Do I have a second? Second by Roberto. We're going to go into discussion. Oh, there's a lot today. Let's make sure we speak to them briefly. A, discuss and vote on presentation of audit by Tuscan and Company, accepted annual audit FY 2023 and 2024. Sir?
For the audience, there's some copies back there in the audience, if you want to look.
There's copies of our audit back there if anyone in the public would like a copy.
For the record, I'm Jeff Tuscan, the partner in charge of your audit. Just want to thank John West for taking care of last month, presenting the audit to you, and you taking the time to approve it so that it could be submitted timely. I appreciate that. So tonight I'm here to present the audit, answer any questions you have. John probably told you last month that the opinion was unmodified, which is a clean opinion. That's a positive thing. We had 3 management letter comments. Did you go over those comments? We had 3 comments in the audit this year. One was that the amended carryover from last year was not made into a budget amendment for the current year. So tonight I'm going to tell you what that number should be and ask that you amend it so we get that corrected. The second one is there's been a lot of talk about your financial condition so far, and you're going to see when I go over the graphs that you had a big operating loss last year, and you've used up a lot of your fund balance over the last 3 years. So you're really close, as your attorney mentioned. You've used that up. When we have to do the audit, we have to do some stuff called financial condition assessment. And you are on the edge of being in a deteriorating financial condition, which is a reportable condition to the Auditor General. You don't want to get there. And the third comment was, we usually pick a sample of fixed assets to make sure that items on the list are present and items we see are actually on the list and they're permanently marked. And we found several items that weren't permanently marked. So you talked about buying assets tonight, so when you do that, you should make sure they're assigned a number and they're permanently marked so that you can properly maintain your fixed assets. So if you would like, let's just look at these graphs and we can go through the numbers pretty quick. So we're going to look at 23. So just to give you perspective, to make sure we're all clear, we're finished the audit for 23. As John mentioned, you have about 2.5 or so months left. Did everybody have this? Yes, page 1. Yeah. You have about 2.5 or 2 months left of 24's budget, and you're looking at approving 25. So just remember that this is what year we're looking at here. So on page 1, if you're looking at the 23 column, you see cash went down just under 500,000 there. Essentially, last year you spent 596,000 more than you took in as revenue. So you use reserves, and one of the questions you had earlier was, are there reserves? Well, there were, and you guys have used up a good amount. And you've heard lots of discussion so far about additional need.
Sure.
And there's more people, more growth. So the need's going to happen faster than historically this district and a lot of the districts out this way.
Yes, sir.
We audit several along Highway 80.
Sure.
And they're all experiencing big growth. So
Yes, sir.
historically you were able to kind of, so to speak, piecemeal repairs because there weren't a lot of people living out there. It was mostly ag, but that's not becoming the case anymore. And so the need to put more money into repairs and improvements is getting to be all along 80, pretty much a major issue. So as you look down this graph, the only other significant really change on this first page is you see inventory went down about 65,000. The reason that went down is right at the end of 22, the district had bought a bunch of road millings to use for repairs, and that got used up in 23, so you didn't have it. And then down towards the bottom, you see capital assets are negative change, and negative change. And how that happens is you put about $50,000 last year into new assets, mostly signage, and then you had depreciation last year of about 500,000. So depreciation's historically a tax issue, for for-profit businesses. The reason they make governments do depreciation is just to give the public and the board an idea that, look, these assets are deteriorating. So you're either going to have to put money into them now, or as maybe you mentioned, you're going to have to get a loan and put it in there if the need arises. And so your assets are definitely depreciating. And as you mentioned earlier at the start of this, the cost of road, how much it's gone up, it's massively increased since the hurricane, the cost of road work. And so what you might have thought, as he mentioned, 100,000 at the start of the meeting, doesn't go very far these days. Page 2, if you look at that, couple changes there. You had your payables went up right a year in, and part of that is that the district got sent money during last year by the county that was actually money for a different district.
All right,
So at the end of the year, you owed that back.
that's correct. That's the one he's about.
Yeah.
So if you flip over to page 3, this is fund balance. So this is the graph that you really need to look at when you're trying to consider your 25 budget. So fund balance in government is your reserves. And so the questions come up several times, hey, do we have any? So if you look at these changes over these 5 years, the difference from 19 to 20, you had a small profit, 54,000. And then every year since then, you've been using up reserves. So you spent the money that came in for that particular year, and then you used an additional amount. And just to give you an idea, between 20 and 21, it's about 430,000 you used. 21 to 22 was about 725,000. And then last year, like I said earlier, was about 596,000. So you've knocked down your reserves in those 4 years by 59%. And that drop is what got you dangerously close, as I said, to the definition of a deteriorating financial condition. So I would not recommend that you plan on using these reserves to fill in for shortfalls until you build this back up. You're required to keep a minimum fund balance. An absolute minimum is about 25% of your operating expenses. Based on last year's budget, that number is about 900,000. So if you look at what was left at the end of this year, that means that you had about $1.2 million, take 900 away. Maybe you had 300,000 extra there above the absolute minimum, but in addition to that absolute minimum, you're supposed to keep some amount that an engineer in a water control district, an engineer says that you should have on hand for emergencies. So the 900,000 is only for you to pay bills from October 1 until taxes start rolling in, which they don't usually start rolling in until sometime in December, fully. And so whether you want to or you don't want to, you're using those reserves to cover those 3 months.
Correct.
And so obviously you can't spend them twice. So historically, most districts have water control have said 300 to 500 you should have in case of a disaster, hurricane, whatever, some kind of major disaster. Usually that's not enough to fix the problem, it's enough to get you started until you can borrow money to finish the project. So again, I emphasize, I highly recommend you don't plan on using reserves. If you're gonna have to spend more money than you have targeted as a tax, you're going to have to look at either cutting other things than repairs, or you're going to have to look at a tax increase, because the demand is increasing and the cost is increasing, so there's not a lot of options.
Correct.
So sometime before September 30, that $1,219,000 down there at the bottom of your 23 fund balance, that's the number you need to amend your carryover in fiscal year 24 to that number. Because you want that comment to go away in this next audit. Does everybody follow that?
Yes, sir. 1.219,267.
Yes, sir. Page 4 just gives you a little bit of history on your tax rates. The tax rates are second row there for each year. It also tells you how much your tax income was. And then we made a note down at the bottom left, because remember, we added a 23, you already got a 24 budget, and you assessed 425. So that gives you your history there. Page 5 gives you an idea of your non-tax revenue. And like most water control districts, your tax revenue is the lion's share of your income. The only thing significant that changed on this page was just the fact that interest rates went up this year. You can see how much more interest you brought in. So page 6 gives you an idea on your expenditures. You had some increases there over to the right. Basically, personnel costs went up just under $200,000, and your operating costs went up about $408,000. Essentially, that was the additional amount over the budget amount you put in dirt road repairs. You mentioned dirt roads earlier, and you can see you put significant amount. I don't know if you noticed, but every line item that you budgeted is in the back of the audit report. You can see what you budgeted and what you actually spent. And that line item was pretty much that whole change in operating expense. So you did put money in repairs, but you can see that there's still a long way to go.
Well, that's where, and this is a good thing that you're seeing. So if you see from 2019 to now, when people say we're not doing anything, that's not the truth, because we're putting money into our infrastructure, and there's still not enough money to fix all the infrastructure.
Right.
So, but the money is being allocated. The money is moving. Whether you want to see it or not, it's being allocated. But there's just so much. There's so much to do.
And really, there's four factors. You know, you get a large district. There wasn't, in the past, you could concentrate some of the repairs where there was more population or a major problem. Now the population's more spread out, so there's more need, and then the cost of everything has skyrocketed, and so nothing, so to speak, is working in your favor.
Completely agree. But we're not the only one, right?
Right. Almost every audit we did this year, water control had similar problems you did.
Sure.
We audited a lot of fire, and many of them just got destroyed with the hurricane. So their property values all dropped because places were destroyed, and then the cost of everything has skyrocketed. So they're dealing with those problems. So nobody in government at the moment, locally anyways, has got all the pieces working in their direction. So are there any questions I could answer for you?
Your counsel or advice, I think I ask you this every year, pertaining your report, it looks like either the district's going to have to make strict budgeting cuts or increase of taxes.
Difficult right now to do budget cuts because you hear people saying you need more work done.
Exactly.
So there's not much you can cut. The cost of the equipment is skyrocketing, and in many cases there's a backlog. Even if you went to buy it, you couldn't get it off the shelf. And I mean, some of our districts are 3 years out once they place an order for equipment.
So the great thing about us, Dan, if you don't mind me,
No, go ahead.
the great thing about us, I think we're in a good situation right now because we have 2 grants, one for $4 million and one for 1.6, that will be able to put some of this to work.
Yeah.
So we're eager at the bit to get some of this stuff, because that can help us, you know, do some of the stuff that we don't have to bring it out of our general fund. We don't have to bring it out of our budget. We can use it from the grant funding. So that should help us for a little bit.
Yeah, and I want to keep recommending every time this subject comes up, before anybody on this board even thinks about raising property taxes, we need to get into our budget and cut a lot of excessive expenditure, because we never, ever, ever, ever get into that.
Keep in mind now, this is the year before we raised the tax. So it's 2024, we bring in $795,000 more revenue than we did in the year that was just audited.
Yes, sir.
So we're not talking about another raise of that magnitude.
What are we talking about, issues that they?
One thing I wanna mention is, we have to raise the taxes.
Hold on.
Because they haven't raised the taxes.
Hold on.
So we raise
Supervisor
taxes
Self was
because
speaking, let him
We have to
speak.
do the services.
Hold on.
If we don't raise the taxes, we are not able to do the services.
Santana, let him speak. Go ahead, Chris.
So, like I was saying, just because we get more money doesn't mean that we should spend more money. We gotta be very smart on how we do it, because everybody says, well, we got this much tax money, now we gotta spend it, and that's not necessarily true how we have to do it. So we need to make sure that we use the money very wisely to where we don't end up in the same situation having to put the burden on the taxpayers of overspending, so.
One thing I wanna mention. In the last 4 years, we have done more good service here in Motura. In everything. Doing the roads, doing the canals, doing everything. Than in all the years put together of Central County Water Control District. So the people ask for services, including myself. They used to come over here all the time asking for services.
We're going to move forward. I'm
That's
sorry,
why we have
Santana,
to
we're
raise the
gonna
taxes
move
because we
forward.
have to- I haven't finished.
We're gonna move
We have to
forward.
raise the
We're
taxes
going to
because
move forward with our
we need to do
agenda.
services. That's why.
Santana, we're going to move forward with our agenda. John Boy, you need us to approve the audit?
He did it at the last meeting when I presented it.
Okay. Thank you.
That amendment, right? They have to.
September 30.
I got a question for the board.
Yes. Go ahead, Roberto.
We keep saying that $1.4 million, is coming.
What do you mean?
We got a grant for 1.4, correct?
1.6.
Or 1.6, 2 million. Here it is coming. Henry County is monitoring that or holding that money. No? What?
The grant that the governor had signed to us was 1.6. I know that Becky has been working with the county in getting that grant, but the county already took their administration fees out of it, and I know that the train's not even left the station yet.
Where's the cash? Hold on. It's because you're not involved in the meeting.
So I
It's
know
out
that
the door.
from our last meeting, Becky did say that they are moving a little bit faster after our push of saying, hey, we're coming to the deadline where if we don't move on it, that we may lose it. And Becky did a really good job with the county and pushing that with John. So I know now there's a lot of momentum on that.
Thank you.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
So the hardest thing, right, and we have a couple of people that are running for county commissioner, the hardest thing is for us to do business with Henry County because they move at a snail's pace. So this grant was awarded in 2021. We're in 2024 and we still have not moved and shovel. So to the auditor's facts that he stated is, to do that job now, that 1 point, whatever's left, you're not hardly getting anything if we would've got it out in 2021, 2022. But the problem is when you collaborate with organizations and counties and stuff, that becomes a roadblock.
Yeah.
But it's almost out the door. I think Steve will speak about it here real soon. It's almost out the door, but when you collaborate, it's tough. Thank you.
All right, since there's nothing else, we're going to move forward with Section B, discuss and vote on resolution to adopt annual assessment rate for 2024 to 2025 tax year. John Boy?
Like I said, we did the $100 increase to $425 last year, and the year is looking pretty good as far as, I think we can stay with the $425 again for this year, is what I recommend. Huh? $425, that's what we're at right now. So we're not talking about an increase, we're talking about staying the same.
So the other thing on this note, if you don't mind me giving my 2 cents. So a lot of times when we as landowners and renters out here, when we look at our taxes, I think he has it on his graph. We were at 220 about three or 4 years ago on our taxes. I think we're up to 425 per acre. So 220 was from 2019, 2020, 221, we are 221, we were at 220 per acre. Right now we're at about 425 per acre. That's because we have to get some, a lot of these infrastructure and all these projects done. So when people come up to me and say, hey, my tax bill went up 2,000 or 3,000, if you divide 225 per acre to 220, that's not $4,000,
No,
right?
no.
So it would behoove us to go to the property appraiser and look at your, like somebody told me the other day, he said, look at my trailer. It appraised at $270-something thousand. It was built in 1984. It's about to fall down. Reach out to your property appraiser and say, hey, was it valued properly? So if you look at 2021, my property value, just like everybody else's property value, went up. The millage stayed the same. Mr. Self-Right, the millage stayed the same, but the property value went up. Now you're being taxed higher because of the increase in your property taxes. So your property that used to be $100,000, now appraised at $300,000, you're gonna, because of how they appraised it, went up. So there's where a lot of our taxes go from Monterey. A lot of people say it comes here. It really does not come here. A lot of it goes into the MSBU, this fund, the county, this, that, and the other. So please, if you don't know how to, if you don't understand your taxes, I'll give you my phone number. I'll show you. You can look online. You can see what's going on with your properties. And if you have a problem or an issue or a concern about your property, please pick up the phone, go down to the county courthouse, 3rd floor, talk to the property appraiser and say, I believe my property was assessed wrong. And I know plenty of people that have gone down there and done that.
Well, I just want to talk about the 425 on the taxes. So the reason why the taxes ended up going up was because the board assigned to the manager, the former manager, opened the door to use the reserve because he ended up using the 360,000
For roads, yes.
for roads. So he said that he had no more money within his budget, and the board said, "Who said that? We have a reserve." And then they ended up pulling out another 4 or something. So by the time that it was looked into, the manager already used a ton of money, and it said stop. That's how we ended up in that situation. And I agree that stuff did go up, but the reason why that catastrophe happened was because the former manager had a open door to use all the money he wanted without, nobody supervising that. That's why we got there. So if it was coming out in increments of don't use no more than 5,000, 10,000 a month, we'd have never got to that huge thing. So that's why I always stress that whenever stuff like that happens, we got to stay on top. Because it was prior to me, because I was sitting like everybody else here, and I watched that. As soon as I heard the board give that direction to him, I said, man, that's a setup. Because you say, use what you want, we'll tell you when to stop. That ain't the way that works. So I just want to make sure that we're very aware of how we kind of got there. I'm not trying to shift blame to anybody because, it needed to be done, but I just don't agree in that fashion that it should have been done. But we're already past that now, so hopefully we don't make that mistake again.
So there's a fine balance. There's a fine balance when our community's needs are not being met. As a lot of people say, we're in charge of roads, we're in charge of swells, we're in charge of recreation. And then people say, hey, by the way, I don't see that happening. So again, there's a lot of work to be done, and everybody looks at it.
What the Board of Supervisors is basically saying for everyone in the audience is the fee that we increase is a property utility fee. It is in your taxes, but it's not what the lump sum of what you pay in taxes.
Correct.
Most of what you pay in taxes goes back to Hendry County for them to use for your services that they quote, and I'm using my quotes on public record, they use for services here in Monterey. The services are such as bulk pickup, trash cans that are supposed to be in front of your door, mosquito, fire, and EMS and police. As myself, my family has experienced many things here in Montour where we don't receive those services at all, and we pay them year in, and who gets the burden of it? We do, because we're the governing board of the district of basically Montour. So us as constituents, we have to fight that back to our county commissioners, to the board of county commissioners, saying, hey, look, you keep increasing taxes, you keep doing all this stuff, but you're not giving us any of our services. When I first got elected, we were paying $36,000 almost every 2 months for bulk trash, for them to have dumpsters for you to come and dump them. All you needed was an ID. You didn't have to live here, but everyone who lived here was paying it. What did that bring? I could bring my ID. I'm a landowner, and I'll fill up those trash cans. $36,000 that month. The next, so I said, you know what? Let me look into that. I looked into it and found out that in 2017, every landowner here was increased in their taxes for trash cans. You ask anybody here, hey, have you received a trash can? They're going to tell you, no, I haven't. But there's trash cans that are in your taxes. Also, the Hendry County Sheriff's Office has increased their budget every year like clockwork. Have we have deputies out here who are stationed out here? Absolutely not. Clewiston Police Department has a beautiful police department, but there's no deputies here. I had an incident that happened with my family where one of them were having a diabetical shock on New Year's. We called, nobody showed up. Clewiston Police Department showed up with Clewiston Fire and EMS. Why don't we have EMS out here? Why don't we have a full-time fire department out here? You know why? Because they do not care about us. We are the redheaded stepchild of Hendry County, and enough is enough. So that's why when you hear us say, hey, you know what, we're increasing taxes. Yes, it is a burden, but everything that we increase stays here in Montour. And that's why I, myself, am pushing us to either go into a different direction from a water district, either to a town, a village, or some kind of city that we can keep it the way it is, rural with our horses, our chickens, and our goats, and our pigs, and our honey. Because at the end of the day, Hendry County doesn't care about us, and it's there to be seen. You can look at our budget, and you can look at their budget. They increase their budget every year. Taxes gets increased every year, but we still don't get services. You can go to LaBelle, they get everything. You go to Clewiston, they get everything. Why don't we get what we pay for? And that's basically what the board is trying to say to you, is we increase your taxes to give you these services that are free to you. Mata and myself, Mata pushed for our golf tournament to make sure that the kids have a free summer camp that is all paid by free raised money. Doesn't come from taxes, doesn't come from anybody else, but donors who care about our community. Also, a lot of our events that we do are free to our residents here and their family, that we make sure that we provide you, because Hendry County chooses not to provide us anything. So that's your basis on your taxes. So if you break your taxes down and look at it, you'll see a portion of your taxes goes back to Hendry County, and a small portion of it comes back to us, which is 400 and...
4.25 per acre.
Right there. So just keep that in mind. When you pay your taxes, say, hey, I'm paying all this, but I'm not getting anything. All right?
May I speak with,
Go ahead.
with all you heating on me?
Go ahead. It's your turn to speak, so you can speak. You have the floor now. Absolutely. Yep.
With all you heating up.
Go ahead.
Thank you, sir. So I agree 100% in everything that Mr. Chairman says. People come over here all the time asking for services. Fix the roads. I have a problem with my drainage. We have to have money in order to do all those services to all of you guys. That's why we have to increase the taxes. People come over here and say, no, it's easy to come over here now and sit on the chair and say, no, you raise the taxes. Because we're giving services to the residents of Montura. And because we care for the residents of Montura. How many new roads we have put pavement in the last 4 years in December?
He's talking about millions. He's talking about
Millions? Yeah, millions. Well, not millions, yeah. It's a big difference. I patrol as a volunteer of the sheriff. Okay, many times on all the roads, it's a big difference. Many roads are fixed. Wow, what a difference. Before it was holes every, and you know that.
We still have some.
We have some.
We still have some.
Yeah, but less than before. And we need money in order to fix those roads. So that's why we increase the tax, not because we're going to put the money in our pockets. We don't put no money in our pockets.
True.
We
provide services and we fix everything that we can do. So we, the residents, because I live in 360 Apollo Avenue. And we can have a better way of life over here in Monterey. That's why we increase the taxes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Roberto, you have anything?
Yeah, I do. For those on the board, on the meeting, I'm sorry, on the floor that are running to be part of Commission of Henry County, keep in mind that we've been abandoned by Henry County. So if any of those people that are running to be elected, think about Montour. Thank you.
Yes, sir, I will.
So you need us to vote on if we're going to do an increase or not?
Or maintain.
We need to vote on whatever our assessment is gonna be, and we're recommending 425, which is not an increase or a decrease, but yes, we have to vote on it.
Okay.
I'll make a motion, Chair. I make a motion since Mr. Boy and the assessment that was done, I'd say that we maintain the 4.25 that we have. I think that should be sufficient with everybody putting their 2 cents, doing the checks and balances, so we don't have to raise our taxes to our citizens anymore from our side.
I second it.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Yes.
Second by Santana. All in favor? Passes. That's it. All right, we're going to move over to C. Vote on perimeter road proposal. Dobbs?
We were both on the same call. It was for the grant, the 1.6. They asked us for an extra item to add to the 1.6 because they had the upgrading of the pumps and some of the culverts to be switched, but they needed one more item, and we went ahead and did the assessment for perimeter road to go ahead and put it in there because they needed 3 items by the state. And so we had to get it in there before they, the date, but we were sick, I was sick. And, we went ahead and we gave them the information of perimeter road to help build it because it is a very low, one of the main roads that needs to be brought up at least a foot. And, that's what they were looking for. It's with part of the resilience 1.6 flooding, and that's the road that was left because Kendall, we are tackling it with the other grant that we already applied for. So we're just waiting on the outcome on that.
So you need the board's approval to add it on to that? What do you need from the board?
Well, we were bringing you guys the information of that, and there's an actual, if you look in here, I put the project information of what the county sent to us. They finally sent this to us. They're finally getting ready to move on the bidding process as well.
These are engineering costs, because they're not actual. No.
Yeah.
Didn't we already prepare this and give this to them?
We did. The shovel ready? They wanted.
Is it already, you already have it, I haven't seen it,
They
so.
wanted updated quotes and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
The emails that I seen, they wanted updated.
John's saying something different. Go ahead, John.
So our fire engineer did what I would call a concept plan. When you are permit ready, you're at a 60 up to a 90% design level. We were nowhere near that. So keep in mind, so what you have in front of you, so the county's moving forward with the bid package.
Yes, sir.
The bid package is to do the design work. Then, and so you have to go to procurement, you put out a solicitation, you get proposals back, you form a committee, the committee reviews the proposals, they pick the number 1 proposal, then they do the design work. Then, when design work is completed, they apply, and as part of that, apply for permits. Then, you have to do a competition to hire the construction firm. And then, once again, you form a committee, you put out a solicitation, and so the reality is, you're looking at a year before breaking ground. Okay, The county sat on it for an extended period of time because they had other priorities and other projects, which they were upfront with us about. Now, finally, the good news is this is moving forward. But government moves very slowly. It's not like the private sector where you just boom, boom, boom. You hire people and you get the job done. So this is going to be a step-by-step process. You're looking at step one in a multi-step process. But again, I project, based on my experience with this, by the time we're breaking ground, it's a year.
So with that being said, Mr. Dobbs, can we, again, construction costs, because we have construction costs that are astronomical when they come in, the bids come in, right?
Right.
We have an engineer's estimate, and they're way off because everybody in this industry is very busy. Nobody's lacking for work, right? So there's inflated costs, plus mobilization fees, this, that, and the other. When we get these quotes back, because we're going to have to make an adjustment what we need to go forward with. We as the board need to figure out, are we going to do pump 12, the road, exactly, because this money's not going to go that far.
No.
And the other thing is, if there, as I was in Marco last week or the week before, John, I can't forget, is see if we can go after more of the same grant, because guess what, it didn't go as far as we thought it could. But we need to prioritize what we're going to do, whether it be Station 12, the road, culverts, whatever. So that, as a board, we need to figure out here in the near future once we get some, because I think we're going to be shell-shocked when these quotes come in on what these prices are going to be.
Yeah.
All right. If there's no further questions on that, we're going to go and...
You agree, disagree?
No, I agree. I mean, it's, like I said, we're constantly trying to update prices and, you know, we follow, you know, the best information we have, you know, and DOT is typically higher than other things.
Yes,
We try to use DOT's numbers to create budgets and everything. So hopefully, by the time you get it there, you'll have enough money to get what you need done.
Thank you.
So would this cover any type of swell rehab?
So, I again, all I did was for the proposal I put together was to do design for perimeter road.
Okay.
And again, if I misunderstood what I was asked to do, I can go back and change it.
Chris, under your answer to your question, this grant didn't have to deal with the swell. It actually had to deal with the pump and the resilience one had to deal with the actual flow, which was the culverts off the canal banks.
The new pump, right?
Yes, the new one, the new pump for 12, yes. And then the rehab of 3, 5, and 6.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
That's part of this as well.
Also some culverts and what is.
That was what the
Correct.
other grant.
And that's what it was.
Reimbursement.
Some of those have already been done, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's what I was asking, because on task 5 it says purchases and installation of culverts, pipes, gutters, structures. I don't know
Correct.
what pipes are they talking about. Are the ones that there are discharge pipes into our canals, or is it everything within our conveyance, or
They were, the conveyance ones.
of our main canals? I think?
Yes.
We
Mhm.
were, the fields were not.
This came out a few years ago that
Yeah.
the pipes that connect the canals, the crossings, many of them were crushed.
Yeah.
They've been there for 30 plus years. They weren't functional, exactly. And I'd heard numbers of like 200 or 300 different locations.
Yeah.
So we with that money, you wouldn't be able to do a fraction of that.
And that's why one of the things I was bringing up about the elevation of the pipes is that usually when you go off the main road, they do a cut to, and by the time you get down to the end of the road, you have a canal like that. You can even maintain the slope. So that's one thing that we was talking about, looking into maybe lessening the amount of the slope to where you could actually maintain that. And it'll probably help convey more of the water, because the deeper the pipe is, whenever the canal is high, the last thing that's going to end up draining off is going to be your main roads. So if they're a little bit higher, it actually drains more of the water off of the roads.
Yeah, because you can have the best, biggest pumps in the world around that reservoir. If you can't get the water to the reservoir, there's a problem.
Any further questions?
So, on C, Chair, are we talking about voting on perimeter road?
No, I asked our intern manager, she said no.
No?
No, we were just presenting what we added.
Understood.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to go to D, discuss and vote on setbacks for culverts for property lines. Doc?
So, again, I'm sorry.
No, I'm talking to myself.
So, you know, and what I heard was that we were using Hendry County setbacks. You know, again, if they're not providing anything, I think you can come up with your own setbacks.
Yes, sir.
As you know, you need it. Doesn't have anything to do with flow, doesn't have anything to do with, you know, the ability to move water. You just need to leave, and I think I said last time, you just need to leave enough room in between the two ends so that, you know, and, you know, 10 feet, yeah, I would think 10 feet should be plenty. You know, if you end your culvert 10 feet from your property line, the other guy ends his 10 feet from his property line, you got 20 feet of canal there. So it would be, to me, it would be to the board's discretion of whatever you want to set that to. If you want to reduce it from 25 to 10.
Let me ask you a scenario, Mr. Dobson. What if a landowner, because I've been approached by this, I don't even know how to explain it, but so let's say for instance the 2 10s, right? 10 on each side. What if a homeowner says, you know what, I want to pipe that whole thing that I can. Can they do that whole thing without having the access points to that culvert?
So
penetrations to the culvert inside there.
Are you talking about between the two property lines?
So let's say, for instance, most properties on an acre and a quarter, I think it's like 160s in the front, right? 160 feet. So let's say we take the 10 off on the left, 10 off on the right, you're left with 140.
Right.
Can they culvert in the whole thing 140 and overlay that whole thing with millings?
Not without some inlets. Not without some inlets in between.
Not without some what?
Inlets in between.
That's what I'm asking.
Like every 60 foot, they're supposed to have a clean out
Correct.
for it.
Correct.
That's what's something they've always done here, like even the 10 foot, the reason I was gonna say about the 10 foot is because the power poles, they usually put them in between the property lines.
Right.
So they give it offset with the guide cable, they give 10 foot off, and that's something that I asked somebody from a while back that worked here. That's what
So that scenario has not really happened here. So how would we inspect that? How would we know if it's been done right or not? Is there like a cut sheet for that kind of stuff to do? Because quite a few people have asked me to. I want to do that, Mr. Miles. Like, and I don't even know if we have anything approved to do something like that.
No, because you think about it, because every 100 feet, y'all are taking it down to fence, right, Becca? Every 100 feet, y'all kind of down to fence.
That's correct.
You think about it, so you said it's 100 and how much? 140.
Yeah.
So it ain't gonna be a big drastic drop, but it still has to have everything.
Correct.
Yes.
Bad thing is if it gets clogged somewhere in between there, but
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
You can do it, but it's just like exfiltration trench. It's a maintenance nightmare.
Yes, sir.
And over time, as this place develops, what we know now, elevations change.
Yes, sir.
If that became a habit, imagine the cost of digging that up. You know, when you have an exposed swale, you can come in there with a piece of equipment and maintain it.
Yes, sir.
The problem, a lot of places stay away from that, allowing that, is that long-term maintenance can be a problem. And if that pipe crushes, it's clogged, who's gonna clean it? Who's gonna have the machinery to clean it? Maintain it?
No problem.
So what's the decision of the
What's the
board?
proposal, Mr. Dobson? How far from the property line would be good enough?
10 feet minimum. And if,
they allow the community to utilize more of the property. I mean, most people, as soon as they turn, they want to use that, instead of having to say, well, you can only use it here and here, let them utilize more of the property.
Right now it's 20?
25.
Is that 50 more feet? I like that.
Yeah.
Oh, I do.
Okay. Can I have a motion on the board?
Motion.
Motion by Self. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Mata. All in favor?
Aye. You gotta say what the motion was, 10 foot.
So, Mr. Dobbs, are we still talking about 30 feet though, in culvert piping?
Yes, there was all ayes.
That is 18
by 30. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, we're gonna move into E. Discuss vote on operation hours. Supervisor Self, Mata?
So I was asked, I wasn't here at the last meeting, a couple meetings, I've been out. But I've been asked and I watched the video. I was asked, I know that the board voted against the 410s. So a lot of the employees asked me, says, hey, okay, you guys don't agree with the 410s? We're fine with that. Would it be okay, because I don't think the option was given to them or to the team, is to continue to maintain the hours of operation that they had before. So that's where I want to speak on behalf of the
From what time
employees.
to what time?
The previous hours, I'm not sure what the previous hours.
7 to 3:30?
7:30, 7:30 to 3:34, something like that. So I was wanting to ask on behalf, why are you laughing? I wanted to ask on behalf of the employees if the board would entertain them working their previous hours as they worked in times past. Of course, with the lunch and everything like they have to.
Okay. Any other board members?
They got you smacked.
The only thing I add to that is that I've had people from the community that they'll take like a couple hours off work to try to come in before 3. And it's kind of hard, so at 5, they're able to take some time off and come in.
So what if we exaggerate the office hours? Because we usually have people on call after hours as well. What if we exaggerate the office hours where they're here till 5?
So operation hours 7 to 3:30, and then our office.
Remember,
7 to 3:30, 1 hour.
so remember, in our business, we're 24/7.
Yeah.
We're not. Everybody's on call. There's an accident, boom, boom, boom. There's always on call. So there's hours of operation, but truly, you're a 24/7 operation.
8 to 5 is a better operating hour, I'll tell you, because now whenever we start going into the morning being darker, I could guarantee you, it's going to sound bad, but there's going to be people sitting around for a little while, there's nothing to do, because once you go out there and it's dark, somebody gets hit, problem. So by 8 o'clock, it's going to be light, and by 5, it's already getting a little bit darker. So at 3:30, still plenty of daylight, and then you're still missing the 5. So whenever I hear, when they say, oh, well, daylight, and okay, well, then it'll make more sense to do 8 to 5 instead of 7 to 3:30, because there's tons of daylight that you have that you're not utilizing. So that's what I'm saying, because I've worked from 6:30 to 5, 7 to 3:30. I mean, I've done them all.
Sure.
And the earlier morning ones, even when I worked here, whenever we did that, we had to sit out there till it gets bright enough for us to go out. And then you know what happened? People pass by and said, well, what are they doing? Oh, they're waiting for it to get lighter. And we're sitting there like a bunch of sitting ducks in people's radar, you know, and its productivity goes down because you're not out there.
Yeah, I'm firm. I was the one who pushed it for the 8 to 5.
I've seen the video.
Yeah, I think they, like every one of us, a lot of the constituents like it. They're seeing more activity, more Central County workers working. Their grass is getting cut on their swells.
You must have a different Facebook than they send me then. You must have
The biggest complaint I've been seeing is roads. They want their road done.
You must have a different
But
Facebook page.
from what I'm hearing, they're seeing workers and they're seeing work. So I'm with the 8 to 5.
I will make a motion.
But I asked to make a motion.
You can make your motion.
7 to 3:30 sounds good.
Okay.
Because most of the employees have talked to me, and they're happy with the one they had, 7 a.m. to 3:30.
All right.
I believe they were doing a good job when we don't need that time, and
All right. So we have a motion on the floor to put the operation hours 7 to 3
As they were before.
as they were before.
7.
No changes to the office hours.
If we want, we can definitely have the office hours from 8 to 5. I have no issue with that.
Okay. Office hours are to remain what they are, 8 to 5. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Santana. Any opposed? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
You opposed?
You in favor
Do you oppose?
With the lunch.
I'm not for the 7 there.
No, I'm saying, do you oppose against it?
Against their motion?
Yes.
Yeah.
Roberto, are you opposed or with? Opposed?
Hey, with the chairman, one minute.
Go ahead.
In order to have 1 hour of lunch, it has to be 7 to 4. 7 to 4 p.m. Because it's 1 hour lunch.
They do 7, they get a 30-minute lunch, and they leave
No,
at
30
3:30.
minutes, 1 hour lunch. 7 a.m. to 4 p.m.
All right, let's go back to our motion.
I second 7
Mata, so your motion is 7 to 3:30 as the hours were before,
The way it was before, and then the required lunch break that you had to have.
which they were given a 30-minute lunch.
So it has to be an hour, it has to be an hour.
They have
So
to
what they were doing, if I'm not mistaken, they were combining the two 15-minute breaks with the 30-minute lunch. So if we require an hour lunch, so be it.
I second.
Okay,
We
we
have
have a
good
second.
employees, I want the employees to see them happy. They are good people. I second it.
Okay,
7 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. Just like that.
I think it's actually to 4. I think it's actually to 4.
Yes, Mr. Jones, yes.
it's not the 4.
An hour lunch, Mr. Jones, yes.
With 30-minute or an hour lunch,
A
Chris?
30-minute lunch.
Y'all did
An hour lunch, an hour lunch.
I'm saying you can do an hour lunch.
Then we're having an hour lunch.
It's not 4, 7 to
An hour lunch.
All right.
With the children.
So we have a second. How do you vote? In favor? Or against?
That's how we do it now, we got
He,
7:30 to 4,
It's
hour lunch.
7 to 4 with the office hours to remain as they are from 8 to 5.
I'm okay with it, okay.
Okay, all opposed? Aye. 3-2.
So what the outcome?
The outcome is the operation hours go 7 to 3:30 with their office hours from 8 to 5.
We have good employees over there.
All right, we're gonna move forward to F. Discuss and vote on repair of asphalt road.
This goes back to the proposals that I brought you guys with the 3 quotes, which was Diaz Asphalt, Aero, you asked me to look into Rose, they never got back to me.
I had asked them. I spoke with Kevin over, and he said he never heard anything back.
I called, they called me back, I spoke, they were gonna send somebody out. I've yet to see anybody in that month. We did get 3 solid quotes, and they were fairly neck and neck, offered the same services.
Okay.
I just wanted to know so we can start patching, because we were looking at least half of, kind of split it up this with the money that we have to kind of fix the worst part of Hunting Club, and then with the new budget, start looking at the second part of Horse Club. And if we maintain, because we were asking for the maintenance on a yearly maintenance, so if we use the same company, they can start the one patch, because we can't do the whole overlay of the road, but at least we can start preserving what we have.
What was
And
the quotes, Becky, again, sorry? What was the rough numbers?
about 212 from Diaz Asphalt, about 225 from Aero.
But that's not overlaying that whole mile, right? It's just
No, that was
cutting out
just, yes,
sections and repairing them?
correct.
So if we did that, can you provide them like a, hey, by the way, this is how it needs to be done, this needs to be compacted, whatever, make sure that the base is looked at and taken care of before they go back, cut it, and hey, by the way, just go right on top of it. Because the base is what scares me, because if we lose that base, that's where we get the worst problem.
So I was just asking to move on this
I
because
want to move on it.
we still have money in our road, and I haven't touched anything to at least start some kind of a patchwork before our new budget.
I agree with that.
So we had enough quotes that came in?
We had 3, I had 3, those are the ones that I brought you guys. I'll send them to you guys if you want again, and I'll send them to you, Steve, so you can, kind of go over it again, and you can actually reach out and talk to them personally. But they all kind of,
Did they say how long they would take to mobilize and get started if they had to?
well, Diaz was ready to go anytime
He did them last time.
Was he the better one?
yeah. He actually came in just a few thousand under from the other, it's Aero Asphalt or something like that.
Gotcha. He does a good job, he does a good job.
And, so, I mean, again, and we've seen some of his patchwork, and it's still holding from many years ago, and he does a really good job as well. So, I mean, I just need
Even for the tractor
I need the
trailer,
direction from the board, because we need to get going, because, I mean, we can put coal patch all day, but it's not holding. It is not holding. And like Mr. Mata said, Mr. Self has said it several times, every one of you guys have said it. we need to move, and I need the direction. I will forward everything, but I would like a yes or no answer so we can move on it, because the quotes have been given to you guys.
Yeah. And one thing we all need to take into consideration is that a lot of these roads, they degrade whenever there's water that sits in the swells. It tears up your subgrade, and as long as the water's sitting
On the side.
at the subgrade level,
Yes.
it's gonna soften it up, and then with the trucks coming in and out. So that's one thing that as we start resurfacing these roads, we gotta remember that if we don't do the swells, we're gonna end up with the same result. So swells is something that I don't know how many swells has been done in the last,
Not many.
you know, and that's one of the biggest things that causes the most damage is the water to our roads. So we gotta start taking all this into consideration. If we resurface the road and we don't deal with the drainage, then we're just throwing money away.
Well, that's what we've been doing. That's what the guys have been removing, the sediment on the side.
No, what he's talking about, when water's on the
Oh, to
side
go
of the
down.
road,
Yeah.
yeah, that gets into,
Yeah.
that's able, if it sits there long enough,
Yeah.
it's able to seep into
It's
the
gonna
surface.
seep.
Yeah, because I understand taking out, because as vehicles
Yeah.
pass by, all the sediment that falls, it's gonna try to wash out and it
Correct.
makes puddles.
Correct.
But if everything where your swells are outside of that, if it holds water, then the same result's gonna happen.
Yeah. So, but I need the board to just, I need an answer.
I don't think the board's gonna, I don't know, I can be wrong, but I don't think the board's gonna vote unless they know what we're looking at number-wise.
I gave you guys numbers.
Is there any way you can present us with them now
John, let
to
me,
make that decision?
can you ask the attorney if we can
Yeah,
vote?
it's actually in, email, so, I mean,
John, let me ask a question. If we get this through an email, is there any way that we can make a decision on that? No.
Not an expenditure. It's gotta be in a public meeting.
We can put it at the bottom of H, and if you can present us with a copy, just get the copies that you have, and we'll vote on it. I think the board wants to see ballpark numbers of what it is.
that's the ballpark numbers I gave you about 3 months ago.
We agree on that. We
And
agree
you
on that.
guys agreed, but you asked specifically for roads to come in and they failed to show up. So you prolonged this process. I will get those numbers.
Thank you. We are going to move into discuss and vote on intern manager to district manager at Santana.
Okay. Yes, I'm gonna bring up the same, motion that I have brought up, many times, I don't know, about 10 times, 12 times, to, make, interim manager, Becky Hernandez into, district manager, permanent district manager. She has been doing a great job. She has been doing a great job. She has proven. She has been in that position how many months? About 10, 12, or 11 months, okay? And she has done a great job. Okay, I have seen it. I've been everywhere here. The employees are happy. Central County Water Control District is running. Thanks that she's in charge. She knows what she's doing. She cares for the residents of Central County Water Control District. And besides that, but to me, he cares. I mean, I like that what the job that she does in her church. She's a pastor, okay? And she cares for the residents and for the needy people of Central County Water Control District. And to me, that's a plus. Because I want to see here a person that is the manager and cares for the residents and for the people and employees of Central County Water Control District. And she has proven that she can do the job. Okay? Because everything is running smoothly. Everything. And we need a permanent manager. We need a permanent manager because we've been 11 months with an interim manager. So we need a permanent manager in this position. And she has proven many times, and she has all the qualifications. She has all the qualifications because she has been getting all the training. So I make a motion that we move her from interim manager to permanent district manager. I make the motion.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Do we, a second?
No, I want to make some
Oh,
comments.
go ahead.
So,
I've had about 5 employees from here reach out to me, and I really wish they'd show up here because it would be a lot better. But, you know, I know there's been a lot of turmoil in between them. There's been a lot of fighting. There's been a whole mess of stuff going on. You know, and they didn't want me to speak. I spoke to her the other day on the phone, and I told her that they didn't want me to really bring it up to her. But, you know, if it's not spoken about, it doesn't exist. And it's better if they come because I'm just basically in the middle. So there's been a lot of issues going on between the employees fighting with each other and just, it's unreal. And, you know, and like I tell her, you know, the issues need to be resolved, and they're kind of scared to come up here because they're worried about, you know, consequences to it.
There's no consequences.
So, well, there's always consequences. Because, and you know, like I tell them, there's a whistleblower act. They don't trust it because there's been many other employees before that kind of got bamboozled out of certain positions here before. And, you know,
way back though. You're not
no, I know, but still, you know, the future could, or the past could always repeat itself.
possible.
You know, another thing that I don't really like is like the check that was just signed for $3,500. There's a fence that was ripped out, and there's been quite a few times that stuff has happened. There's no incident report that was given to us. I don't agree with that stuff because we should know about this type of stuff. You know. So my only recommendation, that I'm not saying that we should keep her out the picture, but I should, you know, we have a short list. We're already at the end of the process. We might as well follow through. She ends up being the one, she's the one. If there's somebody better, great. But we've already gotten this far through the process, and I think we should continue on with the short list, whether it's 3, 4, or 5. And if we see the short list and there's absolutely nobody there that catches our eye, you know, we got to do our due diligence, you know. And I think we've drugged this on way too long, and a lot of it's part of our fault.
So we have been in this process for 11 months.
I agree.
And what you're saying about the employees, Mr. Self, that floor has been here since day one I gave up.
Really?
Mr. Chairman can attest to it.
That's
situation between employees' personnel.
Yeah,
I don't want to tell you, I've been talking to all of them for 4 years.
The
I know all of them,
issue,
Mr. Self.
the issue that I believe, I'll let him finish.
It is because employees' personality. And in reference to that issue, she has managed it greatly. Because I know about all the situations that exist between the employees' personalities, and it's a lot better now than what it used to be before.
Well, part of the reason why they want to kind of do the split within the hours was because there's two groups and they don't want to work together. So that's a problem. So this is the thing, if that problem has been around, why has nobody been fired?
Employees' personality.
This issue,
I know there's problems everywhere, but
everywhere. I work at the jailhouse with the check.
Yeah.
You don't think there's no employee personality everywhere?
Yeah, but if
and we had a family in the jailhouse, but still, not everybody thinks the same way. Everybody thinks different.
I personally seen it. There is 2 groups, and like I addressed to Emilio and I addressed to her, as nicely as I can say it, you come here to work and serve our community, regardless who's your boss. And we oversee her. We don't oversee them. The issue that I have is when my manager prior to her told me, hey, one of my supervisors is not doing what you have to do, this is what I tell all of my general managers. If they don't come here to serve who our customer is, you tell them, find a door and I'll help you to it. Frankly, that's what we got to. Like I explained to her after Emilio walked out on us without giving us notice, you took this burden on, you give them the initiation, hey, I'm the intern manager, this is how stuff is going to happen. If you don't like it, there's the door. I personally told each and every one of them, I'm here to serve at the pleasure of the community, not at the pleasure of them. Reason being is because they come here to serve each and every one of them, including if they live here. The problem and the issue that has come, that every time they don't get what they want or they don't get their way, they come and complain to our manager calls us, complains to us, and says, hey, they need a raise. They're at the national standard of pay here in our district. We made that happen. Not even including, they're coming here and complaining to each and every one of us about their hours, saying, hey, we want to work these hours. Where do you go in any governing board board that you can sit here and complain and say, change the hours. Our constituents are the ones that come and complain to us about the hours, not them. They work here at the pleasure of our community. Just like the law enforcement officer, just like a firefighter, just like mail care. We don't get to pick that. They do. All of them that pay taxes. Even if they pay taxes, they signed up to work here to serve our community. That issue of going back and forth happened with Jose. They relieved him of his duty and told him, now you're just a regular worker, because they thought it was him. After the investigation, they found out it wasn't him. The reason they haven't relieved of these duties of these workers, because nobody wants to work here, not because of the manager, not because of that, because of the environment that is there. We can't fire all of the employees and say, oh, we're going to hire our new employees. So you know what we tell them? This is your job description, this is what you have to do, and this is how you're going to do it. If you don't like it, there's the door. There's plenty of people who will come right in to work here in Central County and do their job. So that is my statement on the employees. For our intern manager, my firm belief is, yes, there is still growth. Yes, there is still things that she does need to work on, and including her management skills with communication to our communities and getting them that right line of communication. I'm 100% on you on that. But hiring somebody who has no knowledge of Montura and what Montura has been through and what we're going through, understands our budget, sitting down with the grant managers, dealing with each and every one of us, our attorney, I don't think anyone new coming in is going to be able to handle that payload. And if they may be able to handle or can have that payload, welcome to Montura, where they'll have to deal with every single constituent. It happened with the previous management before Flacco, where every time there was a complaint, every time there was something, what happened? Oh, I don't know what to do. And they walked right out the door. We blew through our budget with fuel, with one manager. The community riled up, came in here and said, hey, fuel, taxes keeps going up, but I'm seeing on every budget, fuel's going up. What happened? What did the board do? Oh, if it's not working out for you, get out the door, next manager. I think with her, if we appoint her as our manager, we can hold her accountable because she's been through a lot of it, and I think there's room for growth. Now, I'm absolutely in understanding why everybody says, oh, let's put someone new, let's do this. I think we should give her a shot. If she doesn't work after 90 days and saying, look, this is what we want, this is what we're looking for, you need to show it, then okay. But as an intern manager, she is going to run the day-to-day of the office, but she's not the manager. Any day now, on when we have our monthly meeting, we'll say, oh, well, thank you for your turn, go back to your office, and now there's a new boss. Any policy or anything that she puts with her workers, and this is what we're going to do, and this is what we're going to do, could go right out the door. And that's why that problem's there, is because they know any one of these months, there's going to be someone sitting else in that seat if we don't pick her, and anything she says goes is right out that door. That's the issue. I had that at 4 of my big major properties, and when I put a manager in there, all of that, they said this, they said that, this was going on, went right out. You know why? Because when you go to complain to that person's going to tell you, well, here's your job description, this is what's going on, you got to work with Tom, you got to work with Jerry. If you don't like working with each other, then let's see what else we can do. If not, I don't think this is a place for you, because work has to get done regardless of who's working here or not.
Let me put my input, Chair.
Go ahead.
So in reference to the district manager position, in my sole opinion, it would behoove us to allow the process to take its place and us to vet out, with the help of our attorney, the short list, and then we pick the best. Hold on a second. Pick out the best appropriate person who we think that fits the needs of the community, the board, and the future of Montura. Her name's in the hat, just like a lot of people's names in the hat, but we have a responsibility to turn every rock, because there might be a diamond in the rough, there might be something that we don't see. So I've been patiently waiting to see this short list so we can bring them, interview them, and then the board pick who they feel, because remember, it's not one person picking, right? It's a board picking who that person, that's a very important person to oversee this community and lead us into 2025 and in the future. So again, I want to do it the right way. I'm not saying I'm against it, Mr. Santana, but they say, why do that when you have a process? Allow the process to take place.
But we're doing it the right way. We're doing it the right way.
We're almost finished. We're waiting.
You're talking about the rocks. We have played dominoes with the rocks. Many times we have played dominoes.
So again,
And we don't have a right rock to put as a manager.
can I finish?
She is the right rock, but you want to find the person, the special person. There is no special person.
So
We had the other day we had about 77 candidates, right?
100 and something.
And they don't qualify. They don't meet the requirements. And they don't meet the requirements. She meets the requirements. She is the rock that you're talking about, Mr. Marcos.
Can you let me finish?
Let him finish. Go ahead.
So allow that process to fulfill itself. And if that person becomes the person, hold on, can you please let me finish?
Let him finish.
Please, can I please?
Go ahead with your show.
I'm not the chairman. So my thing is allow the process to finish out, and then when the community complains or says anything, hey, we picked the most that we thought would bring value and would meet the needs of our community. Hold on, but let me say it. It would be better that way than to say we picked such and such. And the community says, well, you know what, Santana, maybe you have something going on over there with that family. So if we do it the right way, we check off those boxes and that won't happen.
I have something to do with what company? With what company?
It was a metaphor.
It's a metaphor.
That's
a big box open.
Hey, let me tell you.
You're fighting a lot for this.
We've been having problems, what I see.
That's my 2 cents, Chair.
We've been having problems because of this issue. Excuse me, sir. Your time to talk was over. If you talk a lot, please.
I'll address him, Christopher. Christopher,
We are discussing between supervisors. So please,
Santana,
please let us.
Santana.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're up for election.
Santana.
Yes, I am for election.
Santana,
Yeah.
please, no comment.
Yeah, what you see is what you get.
Santana,
I'm
no
not fighting.
comment.
I'm not
No
fighting.
comment.
Yes, sir, I'm for election. Yes.
Love it.
And that's the way I am. That's the way I am. Whoever's gonna vote for me, that's the way I am. So, what I'm trying to say, we have been 11 months in this process. We have to make it happen. We have to make it happen. Because if not, it's gonna be 11 more months. Let's find the right rock. The right rock. There's no special rock. It is what it is. And she is the one that has the capability, and she has the requirements. She has been doing this job for all these 11 months, running Central County Water Control District the right way, Mr. Mata. You have even tell me that. That she's doing a good job.
I guess you're not.
Or now you want to change your opinion, Mr. Mata?
No, what he's stating, like the rest of the board, is they want the process to do its process. Basically stating that none of our constituents saying, hey, we didn't reach out to see if that there was anybody else qualified. I understand that. And as the chair, I can only break a tie and conduct the meeting. But with that being said, the board, there's a motion.
Well, my motion is done.
Okay.
I make a motion to make interim manager Becky Hernandez into permanent manager, district manager of Central County Water Control. That's my motion.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to appoint our interim manager, Rebecca Hernandez, as district manager. Do we have a second? We have no second. Dies in committee. All right, we're going to move forward to H, discuss and vote on purchase of new portable high capital pump. That's Hernandez, she's not here. High capacity pump.
Probably 6 and 8
Oh,
for
like
water.
watering,
Yeah,
like
for
a
the-
fountain pump, or holder,
What
whatever.
do we need that for?
We move water during hurricane season, we move water from one canal to another canal.
Or whenever they're putting in culverts, whenever they burn it off.
Dewatering.
Yeah, the only thing they're gonna have to worry about is that the final tier force has a definite fluid, and then ends up degrading over time and it causes a problem. So we can find something that's not final tier 4, that'd be great. I think we go that route.
Could do that. Or
Thank
can
you.
do it as well.
Yeah, that'd be cheaper.
You can do that. Thank you, ma'am. Oh, it's right there, bro. Look at that price. It's right within your budget. Becky, question for you. You say high capacity pump. I believe you're talking about a pump that moves water for dewatering?
Yes.
Not a high capacity pump.
Well,
dewatering pump?
the one that will connect it to the PTO, that it'll, if we needed to,
A pump goes down,
yes, into a canal,
so yeah, like a dewatering pump,
Yeah.
move water, to move
to move
volume
the water, to move
Yeah, they're like
water.
Pelican pumps.
Yes, a
So,
Pelican pump, that's exactly,
so where would you use that? Cause,
Stationary, mobile,
mobile.
yeah, cause you gotta remember, so you're gonna have to back it up into a canal. So where would you use it? Where would be a prime place you would use it? Like what canal, what?
Like right now, we're on Canal 13 that we're clearing out,
Okay,
okay? You know, it runs into Canal 11.
right,
Canal 11 is the one that it overflows all the time.
okay.
So to move that water, we have to run the pumps from 10, takes forever to kind of lower the level. And let's just say there was a true hurricane and we all got flooded. To move the water into the reservoir a lot faster, that would push it, you know, it'll help.
so it's,
We don't have one.
so let me,
So-
let me shed some light on you.
Sure.
A lot of people in his department struggles with it, just like my department struggles with it. There's two options. Let's just say, for instance, we have that pump on site, right?
Correct, sir.
And we don't use it in 10 months. We go out there to use it, the battery doesn't work. This is seized, that is seized. Sometimes it's easier to rent a pump like that for a certain amount of time. So that might be an option that we look into instead of bringing something else into our capital. Because the actual, when you really need to use it, is gonna be very far between. And then we're gonna complain to you and say, hey, you just bought this 300,000 dewatering pump and you have less than 2 hours on it. And we've had it for like 2 years.
Yeah.
Understood.
So, there's other options like United Rental, you have,
I was just
Thompson Pump.
Yeah,
But it's a
just
great
we don't
idea.
have anything here. Like we use a small trash pump. You know what I'm saying, to help move.
Right.
And you can only
Yeah.
do so much.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
one
And
of the
we're trying to
biggest-
move. Not to cut you off. I'm sorry. It's just because of the fact that we're trying to finish with Canal 13. You know.
The one in front.
Correct. Which is the one that we're finally almost to the other side now to
Yeah.
remove the rest of the debris. And still have to come down to the pine cone and
Yeah.
cabbage palm area, which we haven't touched yet.
Yeah.
But that whole back area, we've actually cleared out. Now we're going on the little berm to remove the rest of it so we can move forward. And also the elevation and the surveying of that has to go accordingly. And we do have the woodland project where we have the elevations.
Yes, ma'am.
It's never been touched. And if you go to that culvert that's right there on Flagpole and Woodland,
Yes.
you're gonna notice that when they set, when they set it, they couldn't drain it properly when Henry County came out and did it.
Yeah.
So you see the elevation's off, so it doesn't flow like it's supposed to. I know that's
Yeah.
unfortunate, you know, but for the rest of the canal, there's areas where it's only a foot feet, 2 feet, then it goes to 5, then it jumps to 0, and then it,
Yeah.
you know, moving the water though is where we're going with this. It takes our pumps draining so much throughout the day before we can actually go in there and actually do anything.
Yeah.
So the process is taking a little bit longer. I was just throwing it out there because, you know,
It's a good idea.
it was just, you know, feedback from the board, you know, kind of direct us, you know, in that aspect. Because we got that little trash pump, but that trash pump,
You know what size it is?
ours is a 4, it's a 4.
About 4 inch?
Yeah,
Yeah. So I'm gonna say because that's what, it's just a throw, it's like a Pelican pump. You're just gonna hook it up, it's gonna be PTO shaft
Correct.
driven. It's probably gonna be 15 foot. So the problem is accessibility. Once you get into a more steeper canal with a bigger slope, you're not gonna be able to utilize the whole thing. So if you go something that's more like a mobile pump that you could add more intake and more soft discharge,
Correct.
you know, you're not gonna be able to go, like, once you go with the Pelican, it's probably gonna be probably smaller than the 18. They've been making probably 18s too.
okay.
Which will move more water, but it's just, that canal, you'll be able to, because it's not so deep, but once you try to use like, 1, 2, so you're only gonna be able to use it in 3, 4. If you brought something more like a portable pump, 8 inch, then you can use it even whenever you water, whenever you're doing your culverts and you burn it off.
Sure.
Then you can use it but that Pelican pump, you're not gonna be able to, you stick it down there and you might as well just bury it in there, you're not gonna get it out.
Give me a shot. I've got a couple vendors that they'll bring in
Appreciate it.
and they'll demo it for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you can see if you like it, but I would suggest, because how we are with our capital, I wouldn't suggest buying one. I would suggest renting it for a while and then see if you like it.
I just wanted to throw it out there because we don't have anything to actually move water
It's a good idea.
in a true flooding incident, and, you know, because of the water and the water table and everything behind. We don't have nothing.
Sure.
Not even to move it from our regular canal into the reservoir, like just to shoot it across.
Yeah.
I just think about the most drastic part where, you know,
That's a good
it's not
That's
gonna,
a good scenario.
Yeah, you just gotta make sure that you can utilize a lot because
Yes, sir.
we definitely don't want that sitting around if we don't need it. It might be cheaper just to rent it and then you could, like Supervisor Mata said, we can rent one, try it, see if the 6 inch is probably gonna be too small for that canal, or something 8 inch. If not,
yeah, I wrote
you
it
know,
down.
there's certain hydraulic pumps you could actually get with hydraulic heads on them. That I think that we use them on, by pump station 9 and 10.
Okay.
That they just click all together, you put them together and throw them in, you can dismember it and then put it somewhere else. So a hydraulic pump might be something probably more valuable, bigger diameter, put out more water.
Okay. So we're gonna move forward. We're gonna go back to F, discuss and vote on repair of asphalt road. My first thing that I just wanted to address to the board, and this is why I said Diaz is cheaper, but if you look at Humor Homes LLC on page 2, he has in the description the 6-inch white line, solid lines on the edge, and then the 6-inch yellow stripe lines, 6-inch double yellow lines, and then a 24-inch stop bars. Yeah, I think if they're doing road repair, that is something that they should be doing, is putting the pavement markings back on the road.
I think that's kind of a requirement. The whole thing.
And looking at Diaz's doesn't state that he's doing that. And then affordable paving, I don't know how they're affordable. If you look at them, they're also stating the markings as well. Stripes and stenciling back to previous existing format using DOT approved traffic. So the other two estimates that we have are commercial grade up to our, which should be up to our standard. Sure. Diaz asphalt is cheaper, but it's just patchwork. It's not doing the correct patchwork.
But we were asking for the patchwork, okay, in square footage. They gave us a mile. These are miles. Her and a Bolt paving.
We can figure out square footage, that's not a problem.
Wait,
Correct.
so you're telling me
So
he's
Diaz-
doing patches and they're giving us a mile of road?
Correct.
Half a mile, not a mile.
And how much? Okay.
Diaz asphalt is a half a mile.
Half a mile.
Yeah, it's a half a mile. Because we were talking about regular maintenance, like this is gonna be continual work being done.
Yeah, but when you have 3 estimates, and 2 of them,
Which I did ask them all for the same information.
I understand that. When you got 2 of them, asphalt paving and Hurt homes,
Yes,
within
sir.
$6,000 of each other, that's more comparable
yeah.
than half of
Diaz, yeah.
the 112, which is half of what the other 2 are proposing. So really, Diaz is not 100% versus, you cannot compare Diaz versus these 2 right here.
And I remember,
Apples to apples.
No, it's not.
It's different.
It's not.
No, but
It would be
when
a great
I-
company, but it's not giving us apple to apple, what we got here.
you're correct, sir. And where I was going with this was that I was asked to go back to Diaz Asphalt to ask him if he would take off what we could do in-house. Correct, Mr. Self? When you asked me to ask Diaz Asphalt to see if there were certain things that he could take off that we could do, like on the side, not the striping and stuff.
Or we'll cut down like,
Remember,
like,
yes.
all the buildup, like what's
Correct.
pulling the water in.
Wait, that's $100,000?
Yeah, no.
No. This, like I said, but again, that's where I was going
The
with it.
thing is, it's 2 different things now.
I mean,
I agree.
Because I think that's what we was bringing up last time, because the roller came in and we was talking about different things between the rollers and the specs.
Correct.
And then I know this was part of it that we was talking about within the lines and so forth, because this is from March,
Yes.
and this one's from
One's
April,
from
so it's a month
April.
apart, right?
Yeah.
No, a little bit more. Okay, this from March 27th. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but they're two totally different quotes. One's saying they're gonna do one thing, another one's gonna do a whole totally completely different thing, and I mean, it's kind of,
Yeah, and
it's
then
not comparable.
And then if you look at affordable, they have two different options, well, four different options in total.
Correct.
Affordable, and then they also have asphalt maintenance on there as well. That's only $10,000 per unit, depending on what we pick. And looking at them, it looks like they understand the scope of the work. They're just way out of the budget. And then Humor's Home LLC, they're there, they're close to what we're asking for, but then again, we're looking at another 300,000.
Yeah. So, this one is, yeah. All Southhold Paving did was they put them together. But you're looking at 231,675.84.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying? They just put it all together, but it's, they were showing you the same scope of work in option 1 and option 2.
Just broken up.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. So if you look at, on option 1, it's 231. If you go to the second page, which is option 2, it goes to 202. Yes, sir.
John Boy, do we even have this in? Do you have a copy of this to look at? Okay. I'm going to give you the most expensive one. Do we have anything? Can you pass this in? Do you have anything close to that in our budget to start on that? It's the most expensive one.
Probably not.
What if we wanted to?
So you're talking about this being done, started here soon?
If we wanted to.
Well, as far as, so this is the maintaining of the asphalt roads, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we just have, we have 100,000, I think.
90,000, is it?
No, the 100,000 is in the current budget.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Well, okay, so in the budget for the year we're in now, we don't have anything for asphalt paving. The 100,000 is in next year's budget.
We just 1/3 or half of what.
So if we wanted to go with them, let's say we wanted to go with them, and we were to draft it and add it into our upcoming budget, what will our ballpark look like?
A loss of a couple $100,000. And we're down to $95,000 excess of revenues over expenditures. Now you're talking about 200. So, we'd be budgeting more expenditures than our revenues. So it's back to dipping into the
we should wait till next year.
balance.
We should wait until next year.
So even if we wanted to start that project, there either need to be an increase, or we'll have to wait until the following fiscal year.
We should wait until next year.
Well, that's what I'm saying is that there's not room in the 2025 budget for that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If we were wanting to doing some kind of repair to the asphalted roads, we would have to add it into the upcoming budget, not the one that we're going into, the one after that.
2026.
But there'll be an increase, correct?
to my tax increase?
Yeah.
That's possible, it depends on, I mean, it's not, you gotta look at some of these other things and decide if you can cut some of that back.
Yeah.
And this year, we have an excess of revenue over expenditures going pretty well in the 9 months, but unless something big comes along,
So, we go back to the same thing, we've been kicking this thing around these properties.
We don't need them, there's nothing that we need. We have the 100,000 set aside, don't know if we wanna touch it or not, but we have 5 properties, we could get 50,000, I don't know what they're gonna be assessed at. We sell 4 at 50,000, I don't know if it goes to a bid, however, it's 200,000. So, and nothing's getting cheaper.
Absolutely.
So that's something we need to move forward on, that's something that we passed a long time ago. We need to move on it. Or get the money, set it aside, and hopefully something within America gets better and prices come down, and we put it there. Because if we don't save for it, we're just gonna spend it.
November.
And then, spend it the right way, or we have to do stuff in phases or do something. Because the patchwork that's just throwing money away. Because by the time we start doing all these little patches, then we get the money, we're gonna come in and rip it all out.
My point.
And for nothing.
Okay, so does the board want to vote on any of the estimates, or do we want to move forward with making an amendment for the following budget to adding it in there as a item?
I believe we should put it for the following budget. Because if not, we're gonna be,
John, is there some kind of way we could put
A line item or some type of reserve for that we start building towards that. If we start cutting back on our budget and we, put a little here, we sell the properties, we allocate it to that directly, how would that have to be worked out?
I'm not, as far as, you can set aside money, I don't think it would be legally restricted, but you can set it aside as far as having it be part of the assigned fund balance or something.
like a special account?
Well, not a special bank account, but just keeping track of, that as being money reserved to do that. That
But
may
if we
be-
don't have no money, how are we gonna put money into,
Well, it's about if you sell $200,000 worth of property.
Yeah.
That money could be allocated to the road paving.
Yeah. If we don't start working towards something now, it's gonna be the same crap every year. It's like we're never gonna get nowhere, and then we're gonna end up negative. So we need to just start taking money, putting it to the side, and whenever the day is, we execute and we do it.
I agree with you,
And whatever else,
Put it in there.
and whatever we start trimming off, we need to start going that direction at some point. Because if not, our roads they look like hell.
We have those properties over there, and we're doing nothing with it.
I will say that I've looked at several grants that have come in, and I forward them to Ovid in regards to the roads. And it is, I try to stay away from if the county has a sign off on it. And
That's why
no disregard to the county, but if not, it'll be something else that'll be the last thing on their list, and our roads won't get touched, and then we will be at that cross line where,
Hopefully not after this election. Let's see what we got.
All right, I'm good.
So yeah, I think the board's gonna table it and want to make it a budget item. We're now gonna move forward into staff reports. Interim manager.
Going back, Chair, we did not vote on the meeting minutes of April, May, and June.
Yeah, there's one that
I think it was last month. We didn't get them until last minute.
Right.
Yeah, we didn't get last minute, we didn't read through it,
Yeah.
that's why I said we shouldn't be accepting anything.
Correct.
We haven't read
But the
through.
previous ones,
but they weren't,
they're
no,
after.
but I did send everybody the
Yeah.
agenda on time with the minutes,
Yeah.
so everybody could read through them, so we can approve them, because I'm still responsible for updating it on our website.
Right.
So you guys you didn't even,
Okay.
so if you could please,
Yeah. Can I get a motion to approve what are the months?
Motion.
we got April, May, and June's.
A motion to approve April, May, and June's agenda meeting minutes.
Motion.
Motion by self. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Santana. All in favor?
Alright.
All approved.
Hey, excuse me, what happened with Mr. Mata?
He stepped out.
I said about a long time ago. I just wanna make sure he's fine, you know?
Yeah. You can continue with your report.
Okay, so, been working with Ovid in regards to the resilience grant and, future grants, that's what I was talking about. We've had, several calls, me and Steve, we've been on, with Henry County, we've been talking about staff gauges, getting them in place. I shared the paperwork already, for the budget breakdown from the county. We're still cleaning out Canal 13. We've picked up all the debris that we've taken out on the one side. And now we're jumping to the other side of the canal to continue the debris, cutting down the trees and removing that. The side of the roads, like I said, we've been, that excess, so any water that would be sitting on the side of the road would flow downward towards the swell itself. It's not actually cutting the swell, like Mr. Self said, but it's to alleviate so the water's not sitting there and it's not penetrating and breaking up the little road that we do have. And if you look at it, Hunting Club and Horse Club have been two of the worst ones. We continue to mow throughout the roads. We've had 41, if I'm not wrong, new permits in total. And so, driveways.
How many?
41. I didn't write it there, but I did get the numbers. It is, and we've had a lot of reselling of properties, so new owners coming in with pre-existing and some extending them and adding a second, the potholes, of course, as you know, they're not getting any better. We've picked up trash. They were running the pumps on a Monday. Officer Rodriguez did assist us on the illegal dumping. If nobody knows, he is our new officer that's here in Ventura. He's been assigned to us. Corporal. Rodriguez has been assigned to us here in Ventura, and he's been present. Ask a few people that have been pulled over.
You do a good job.
But our summer camp went extremely well. The kids enjoyed it. Thanks to the board and, the efforts that you guys have put towards them. The pool is open to the public from 10 a.m. to 5:30. Now we're getting ready for our back to school bash, which is now on August 3rd. Not this Saturday, but next Saturday. We will be out there at 11 o'clock. We will be, we have a lot of, Florida Community Health Centers that's coming out. We have forestry that's coming out. We have the health department. We have Glaze Electric, the Hill Foundation that has poured into us every year since I've been here. So United Way will be out again.
What's the date on that?
August 3rd. We'll have, hamburgers, hot dogs for the kids and the families come out. We will be giving out the book bags with supplies. And so we've had a good outcome. Last year we had a great, they did like little, Henry County Sheriff's was out there. They had like a little booth as well. And everybody's come out and poured into the community. So I asked the board to, if you guys can be there, that'd be great. So families and,
What's the time?
from 11 to about 2.
What day?
August 3rd, not this Saturday, next Saturday,
I'll be here.
What time?
from 11 to 2. Yeah, if you can make it, just, you know.
It's a formal meeting.
I will bring that.
It's a formal meeting, John.
I do ask that everybody, you know, if you guys can come out, that'd be great, you know, so.
Make an appearance, for sure.
Yeah. And so I will say though, there's a lot of stuff that needs to happen at the clubhouse. You guys did give permission to kind of, I am looking at grants that will fund the actual like phasing out period with the engineering and everything involved. So it's not coming out of our budget, okay? And there was a few grants that I did run by Ovid, and they were looking into it for us to see if they can, you know, assist us in that process as well. So I am looking funding on the outside, so it's not affecting our budget, our yearly budget, and everything that we're doing. So I did bring Steve up to speed in regards to, you know, he's been out there, and Josh from his company, and oh, he had to leave. Okay, well, he actually came out and was from New Jersey, from New Lines, and he actually rode around, and we were able to show him perimeter and what this looks like out here. So all in all, we've been working hand in hand, trying to get things done for the for our community, and make sure that we're moving forward and not backwards. So.
So, I guess you're going to me now.
Yep.
All right. So I reviewed and approved 4 electric permits last month. Submitted the RAI for the AGI permit. I thought that had already been done, and I went back and checked, and it hadn't, but I did that on July the 11th. We met with Hendry County about the plans for Pump Station 12. I forwarded those. I've also started trying to get bids for that. For that pump. Submitted a proposal for Perimeter Road, receiving bids and expending of the existing grant funds. I worked with Bennett and Associates to install the staff gauges. Gave them put together an exhibit and gave them where they need to be installed. I've been working with Rebecca while they're out here to set some benchmarks for us, so that when they go out to set culverts, they won't. You know, we used Perimeter Road last year, or last month, about, you know, trying to set those, so we want to set benchmarks out there so that they don't have to go so far to be able to collect that. And like I said, you know, last thing here, we toured my tour today with Josh Muckler, operations manager. Unfortunately, he had an opportunity to catch a plane back this afternoon at 10 o'clock. Got moved from 8 o'clock, so he was planning on spending the night. He wanted to meet the board. I was going to introduce him and everything. And I do have Diana May. She works for me. She's our utility coordinator for New Lines. And and she's also, you know, going to be my backup out here. So just wanted to bring her down and introduce her.
So she's local to the office here, or?
Yeah. She's local. Well, she's local in my office. So Okeechobee. Yeah.
All right, we're gonna go into our treasurer's report.
Try to do this kind of quickly since there's been a lot of county talk already. We dispersed $208,000 last month, roughly. One item of importance is we've collected now all of our taxes for last year. So we got the next 3 months to go without that. Our taxes were $486,000 this month. You can see there's $795,000 more than the year before. That's because of the tax increase. So the important thing, if you want to skip forward a little bit, page 6 is probably the most relevant thing to look at. That's our expenditures for the year that we see every month. So we're 9 months into the year, and if if you look at the second to the last line on the bottom, our actual expenditures are at $2,309,000, and the budgeted ones are $2,502,000. So we're actually $194,000 under budget for the 9 months for the year. So we're about 8% under budget. So if that trend keeps going, of course we will, have to use some of it up over the next 3 months, but I'm still projecting that unless something new comes up, like I didn't know about the asphalt thing or whatever, but we could very well make, have revenues in excess of expenditures of $500,000, $400,000 maybe, depending on how the next 3 months go. So, we're in pretty good shape with that tax increase in there. And we've underspent the budget, so. So, looks pretty good so far for this year.
All right. John?
That's the abbreviated version.
So we have 112 applicants for the manager position. And remember, this is the second go-around. The last time I think we had 77 or so applications. All of you have received 3 emails with links to all the applications so that you can take a look yourself. I finally have gone through them all. When I go through them, I look for 3 things. Experience with roads and or drainage. Experience with managing workers out in the field. Not in an office, but workers in the field with equipment, heavy equipment, experience, management. And then third, experience with budgeting, with finances. Because we have a multi-million-dollar budget. When you apply those 3 criteria, if I stretched it, there's maybe 4 or 5 people in that pool that might, because when you look at an application, some people put a lot of detail, some people put very little detail, some people write very well and some don't, so it's not always easy to tell. But when I apply those 3 criteria, because that's what I think, and this decision is up to you, but for me, the perfect manager would have those 3 things: an understanding of drainage or road maintenance, some experience in managing workers out in the field with heavy equipment, and then number 3 is knowing how to do a budget, how to manage a budget, how to put a budget together, how to monitor a budget. Or could I knew enough to make sure someone else is doing it right. They don't have to do it themselves, but you have to understand it to make sure someone else is doing it right. And that's it. It's not an easy, grouping of experience. But as you all know, in today's market, I don't know about the companies you work at. I can tell you my experience. It is very difficult to hire good, qualified people right now. I have a client that owns 9 Dunkin' Donuts, and he tells me his number one problem, in his business, and he has a big business, is just hiring people to work the counter. Nobody wants to work. They're not reliable. So this is not unique to us, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It is a very tough job market today. 5 years ago, probably would have been different, but today it's very difficult. And so, I can bring you some recommendations at the next meeting. I'll email them to you. There's only going to be a few, and to take a look at it. And then, you know, you decide where you want to go from there, if you want to interview some of them or what. But again, I think part of it is this is just a difficult time to fill, especially a position like this.
How many did you say there was, Tom, that you recommend? Out of the 100?
Out of the 113, if I stretched it, I would say 4 or 5.
Okay, since there's 4 or 5, I don't think the board will oppose this.
Yeah.
They should do a presentation, at least
Yeah.
a 5-minute, 10-minute presentation on why they want the position and serving the community of Montura. And usually if they do that presentation, they'll do their research on Montura, and the board will make a decision upon that.
You'll see that. I will tell you, because 75% of the
You're going to get
applications.
emails. He's going to email you the 5.
No. We need to do an interview process. I don't want nobody to do a presentation. I want to see somebody face to face.
Yeah, he's going to do a presentation. They're going to come here face to face. I'm not saying they send a piece of paper. They want a job, sit here like how the interim manager is, with the heat of all the constituents, and present yourself of why you want the job.
Sure.
If they can't handle the heat here, they can't handle the heat there.
I thought we were.
When you do interviews as an agency, you only have 2 options. One is what Daniel said. In a public meeting, that person stands at a podium and you do an interview. The second way is, frankly, the more common way, is you do one-on-one interviews. So like, I just did this for another governmental entity where we had 5 board members. They all came, it took a day. They had 6 finalists, and each finalist would meet with each board member individually. So we always had one person with one of the board members, and it was round robin. You had 45 minutes with each person, but you know, that day took 6 hours of interviews.
We'll make a decision on
So did y'all do like a point scale, like as far as like certain things you're looking for, qualifications, say, well, on this they score 5, 4, or did they just say, I like this one more than this one?
Yeah, the hiring process, is it on a scale or you pick?
Can do that. I didn't do a point score, because again, 70% of them was, you know, somebody who worked at Dunkin' Donuts, and you know, they just, on Indeed, people will literally file 100 applications. Sure. They won't even read the ad. Yeah. So 70% of them, I know Chris looked at them, you know, it's like, you could tell they didn't even read the advertisement. They had zero, you know, first grade teacher or you know, just. Yeah, I mean, I could refer them to but so, you know, it wasn't like it was a tough choice here. So, 70% you just pull off the table, it's a joke. And then the other 30%, I use those 3 criteria. If I could find that they at least had one of the 3, I didn't find any that had all 3. But I didn't have a point score.
That's why the reason I asked, because I know that the board, it might have been 2 managers back, they did a point scale, like 1 to 5, and they'll put certain things that they're looking for, and as they ask them,
and gave it to the board. They can do that again. But that was for the interview process.
Yeah. You sent us a copy just so where we could see it.
Sure.
We don't have to do it, but just to see what the process was, and if it's not any good for us, then we just won't even do it. We'll do something different.
Like I wrote the job description too. That's why those 3 things, if you look at the job description, those are the 3 big components of the job description. So, but I will email that to you before, because I want you to say, yep, I agree with you, before we bring people in.
Bring it over here, talk to them right here.
Then, as you've heard, you know, for a few months now, we've been hearing about the MMM Fishing Corp issue and their illegal discharges into our system. I happen to have a friend who's an attorney at FDAX, and we've been corresponding. I made a public records request. To make a long story short, they issued a notice of non-compliance to the fish farm. the fish farm did have illegal discharges, pipes into our system. This is not the first time. Some of you who've been around know that this has been common. These fish farms, because, you know, they've got these big water pits, which is wastewater, they have to keep that away from the stormwater. So these aquacultural operations, almost by definition, when they have a heavy rain, they cannot handle the water, and they'll bring out a pump, a portable pump, and they will, you know, discharge into our system. And what they're discharging isn't stormwater, it's their ponds are overflowing. And so most of the time, it's wastewater that they're discharging into it. Mixed in with stormwater, it's a little bit of everything, because those, if you've ever been to a fish farm, they keep those ponds relatively high, so you get a bad storm event, everything is just underwater. So anyways, they've taken action against them. I sent you all a copy of this via email a few days ago with a summary in my email. They basically are requiring them to do 4 things. Cease and desist all discharges from the facility, because it's a zero discharge facility as it relates to wastewater, all fish farms. Provide an updated facility plan. So they have been expanding, and so they didn't have any plans for the expansion, but my understanding is Hendry County wouldn't let them expand. So the next step is to stick Hendry County enforcement on them, because as I understand it with the current zoning, they're grandfathered, but they can't expand, and these guys expanded. Then the third thing was that they have to confirm that they applied for an expansion approval with Hendry County, which there's no way they're going to be able to produce that. And then it's a lease parcel, so they have to produce a modern lease. I mean, these guys, again, unfortunately, they're not running a legitimate operation. And if you read some of the allegations, you'll see that. So we'll stay on top of that. The post office box. So, you know, we've been trying to find out who constructed the facilities, who's responsible for the facilities, and I made it's called a FOIA request, you know, Freedom of Information Act. So I sent a FOIA request to United States Postal Service, and 3 months later they responded, and they said, based on the information you provided, the agency official having jurisdiction over the subject matter of your request is David Gwinney, District Manager, U.S. Postal Service, Fort Lauderdale. So I have forwarded your request to that office for action and direct response to you. So this came in on the 15th, so about a week ago, after 3 months. So we'll see where this goes and whether we ever really do get a response from the U.S. Post Office. But
Also, on that note, Mr. Romero, if we can send a response to Mr. Griffin, who we met with, I think it was April 24th. Tommy Griffin? It was April?
I want to say it was, no, March. April 24th was our meeting.
Okay. So it's been 3 months, and we haven't heard, yes, sir, the Congressman's department. So we haven't heard anything in 3 months. So we can follow up with a nice letterhead email to them. Says, hey, Tommy Griffin, he's the representative for the, he's the representative.
He's the field representative.
The field representative for Scott Franklin.
Exactly.
Tommy Griffin, field representative.
for who?
Mr. Franklin? Scott Franklin's office?
Okay.
So it's been 3 months that it's been in Tallahassee, in Washington, D.C. I think hopefully by now we should, I know we're being patient, I know the government runs slow, but hopefully we can hear something, because with all the petitions that were sent to their office,
Yeah.
they were looking into that, so I think 3 months is more than enough time that we get a response.
Becky, do you have this person's
I can
contact?
forward you,
Okay.
the email.
And a few years ago, I forgot the name of the congressman who was in Miami,
Mario
Diaz-Villar, thank you.
Diaz
Yes.
Villar.
But it wasn't Mario, it was, no.
That's the only congressman.
No, this was a few years ago. It was another Diaz-Villar, but anyways,
Mario has been there for 20 years.
no, it's the brother,
Rafael?
Lincoln, thank you.
Lincoln.
Thank you. Lincoln. Anyways, but this was years ago. We sent along and, you know, we heard somebody from, and then, because what happens is they call, you know, the post office and say, hey, I want you to respond. They do that. They're helpful. And the post, that it goes to the, they go, sure, and then you never hear from the post office.
Sure. But again, so we have a nice email from him. We've had a visit from him, so if we can stay on top of that to see what Washington says, so we can keep.
Mr. Kumar, we have been doing in circle for 4 years.
Yes,
In reference to
the post office, right.
4 years. We've been going in circle, around and around and around.
Yep. But this
Nobody
is,
gives us an answer.
no, and this is the perfect example. We've spent 4 hours talking about equipment that need to buy with limited money. This, you don't have a couple $100,000 to devote to a post office facility for which you have no jurisdiction. I mean, that's the message here too. We have to realize it's an important issue, but you know,
Get a grant for it.
yeah.
Roads, drainage, recreation.
Yeah, it's a water control district asking for a post office grant, you know. Anyways, but that's it. That's all I have.
If you can follow up with that, we greatly appreciate it.
All right. All right, thank you, John. We're gonna go to Board of Supervisors report. Self?
All right. One of the things that I asked for, well, that we need to get updated is the COVID policy, because I asked Becca about it, and when she sent me something from 2020, we're in 2024, so I know a lot of stuff's probably changed by then. John, did you ever get to update the COVID policy?
I have not. I'll say, I mean, the policy that most places have now is, you know, you get the home test. If you test positive, you call in, and you have to test negative to go back. I can tell you, in my firm, probably 7, 8 people have come down with COVID in the last few months. It's just, there was, all of them, it was like a cold.
Yeah, there's a difference.
All of them, you call the doctor won't even see you. They say, stay home, drink fluids, take aspirin.
Yeah. The hospitals doing that,
They won't even, because now it's almost like it's a cold. And in our experience, we know employees were out 3 to maybe 7 days max. And then they tested. I don't know if it's a new strain, but it's not serious, and it usually 3 to 7 days you test negative.
Yeah, they were, it's funny you say that the hospital that my mom's the director at, there's a new wave of COVID going around.
Yeah.
And they're informing all big corporations, government agencies that you deal with it as if it's the flu. And after the 7 days, if it doesn't leave your body, because our some immune system's built over it where we can fight it now,
Right.
but others can't.
Right.
So some agencies and government agencies made a policy that after the 7 days, if you still have it, you got to go check yourself into the hospital so that they can give you antibiotics for it. And that's what a lot of, like what Chris was saying, a lot of big corporations are now adopting that policy, where that if you still have it after the 7 days and you test positive, they want a legitimate doctor's note so that they can put it in your file, because some people still want to get paid for staying home for COVID. And it became a political thing, because some people on the hospital board say, well, COVID, especially here in Florida, it's gone, and then the other end is like, no, it's still here. So
And doctors, they won't, if you say, I have COVID, they'll say, do not come to the
because the executive boards of the hospitals don't want them.
They don't want you to come into the
One of the
hospital.
things that ends up happening is that
Particles of COVID could still remain in your body for up to 90 days, and the test will still pick it up.
Yeah.
So, well, there's certain tests. That's why some people, they'll want you to do like a home test, but then to go get one from a clinic, just so where, because there's been a lot of issues, a lot of companies, not saying that, nothing, But just to make sure, because, you know, if the door's open and we don't nip it in the butt, it will be abused at some point. But just to make sure that, you know, they do a home test. I mean, that's whatever the board wants to put in, or unless we want to adopt something that CDC has in place. But to where, you know, after probably 3 days, you do go to a doctor. Most places ask, you know, first, second day, third day, you know, get, yeah, do something like that.
Because it's a virus, so antibiotics don't do anything. They used to give you Paxlovid, they don't even do that anymore. They say, let it run. So
Yeah.
we were surprised because it's going around now.
Yeah.
Other thing I want to bring up is that while I was signing the checks, I seen that there was a $3,500 check from Alvarez Fence. And I asked Becca about it, she said, I guess one of the employees, whenever those
Cleaning out and Canal Ford, when he went to remove one of the trees, the fence was embedded within the roots, but you couldn't tell until the tree came down and it pulled that side of the fence of that property that was there.
Yeah.
And we're gonna, I'm being honest, I can't remember if I did write the incident report, but I can't remember if I forwarded, to be honest.
Yeah, but I haven't seen it.
But I do have it.
Right.
Because it was, that happened, and then we tried to communicate with the landowner. They weren't there. We looked up the number. And then they came over, and we were like, yeah, you had dogs, so we're not gonna go into the property, because they have a second fence. So they had the fence that was already by the canal, then they had the inside fence, where they kind of kept their dogs and stuff inside.
Yeah.
For the property.
So my thing is, because I know I had this issue with Edminio off of, right by the firehouse, it's not Marimba Circle, it's, where they redid.
The little one on the side?
Yeah, sure.
Pinto.
So for Pinto, it's the same deal. I seen within the budget where there's a check cut out to Alvarez, and it was for a fence that was replaced and it was broken too. We never got an incident report on that. So that's one of the things that I always stress, that whenever stuff like that happens, we need to know about that. You know, I don't want to find out later on when I'm signing a check and saying, what is this? And then, oh, there's an incident, we ripped down $3,000 worth of fence. It's like, you know, that's what the, you know, manager should be communicating with. Well, that's the thing, we don't know. It gets expensive. Yeah, so that's.
We couldn't repair it?
Huh?
We couldn't repair the fence ourselves?
Not without taking the guys from where they're at. That's the thing. I mean.
Well, yeah, but that's just my main point. Is whenever incidents like that happen, I mean, we need to know about it. Cause I definitely don't want to find out later on or in that fashion either.
Yeah.
So I'll just keep stressing on that.
Go ahead. You're done?
No.
Okay.
No. So weeklies, I used to receive weeklies from you all the time because I always like to go through the budget and see whenever there's overtime. Because a while back, whenever I first got onto the board, I don't know if y'all remember, I went through about 6 months worth of dailies, and then I was comparing it over to the budget, and in the budget it shows that employees was doing like 10 hours this week, but in their dailies it never reflected that. So I haven't had the dailies in a while. It's already been quite a few months. I haven't received none of them, and I always like to compare them to what I.
Okay. When you asked me though, I did ask. Didn't we send it to him? I told you to send it directly. Did you see one from like CHS supervisor? No?
No, I believe I stay on top of them, you know, because it's like now, because I was seeing that for the budget, there was 335 hours overtime.
Yes, the guys have been working overtime. They've been clearing out that canal and trying to get rid of the debris at the same time, and trying to burn the daylight time that we have right now, going back to the hours and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so we've been working on that diligently before the rain really, really continues to hit us.
Yeah, and that's why the 3:30 time, you know, they're working later now because of because I seen them working on Del Surge on the road.
Yes, that was because I'm waiting for repair on the long excavator. So we stopped there and we went to Avenida del Sur, which is one of the main ones on our list of the repairs. So we went ahead and they cut it and they removed all the debris not to leave it there
Yeah.
at all. So we cleared it and then and they were working on it.
Yeah. And then it goes back, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, that was it, so go ahead.
And then that's like, as we keep going back to the budget, you know, we have $9,000 worth of overtime.
How many workers is that?
You have to go through, this is overtime, it's 335 hours, and it was,
That was approved overtime?
Yeah, I approve.
well, it could be approved, but but this is the thing we keep saying, you know, the budget's gonna keep getting.
No, of course, overtime, you're paying them time and a half, and yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I agree with you, we have to crack down on that, but then again,
Well, this is
there was
the
debris.
bigger point that it builds up to. So now when our hurricane season comes up, we're gonna, overtime is gonna be necessary. So I believe the same thing, how we use our money, we should use our budget correctly. So if there's any money, it's gonna be allocated. In all reality, what we should be doing is taking a certain amount of overtime, allocate it to the side and say, for this year, this is how much we're gonna put towards overtime, and kind of cap it. Because what ends up happening is that if we just keep pulling out this budget, we just keep pulling, there's never gonna be,
The deadliest snake of payroll is overtime.
well,
Yeah.
so, you know, I mean, that's why whenever we keep going back and forth about the times and this and
But
that,
the
I've seen the employees working today, and it's, you know, we need to remember too, we gotta spend the budget the right way.
yeah.
And if they keep doing that, you know, there's gonna come a point that then we're gonna have to put more money into the, for the employees. And the thing is, it because they need more money, or is it because we're using so much overtime that we need to add that much?
With the schedule that they had before, there was plenty of time in the day to get a lot of projects done. And now we're going back to 7 to 3:30, so.
Approved 760.
Yeah.
Make sure you
I
get
don't,
right
I don't,
for the record.
I don't foresee overtime dropping. I foresee it increasing.
Why is that?
We shall see.
So, I'll speak on when I get.
So I think if they have a set schedule, they should be able to work within that set schedule, unless it's a ticket item such as debris and stuff that does need to be taken care of right then and there.
Yeah.
But every day dealing with a ticket item, no, that should be taken care of through your day to day.
And then I would highly recommend every board member, I suggested it to Becca before, and hopefully y'all kind of.
We need to get it digitally. The paper doesn't work. My guys, we use tablets and they sell them now where you could throw it and it ain't gonna break.
Yeah.
And it's a daily report.
Yeah.
And I can pull it from home. I can pull it from in my office. I can say, oh, let's see what this guy's doing today. And it'll show me, hey, he clocked in at this time. He's doing this project.
Yeah. So
It
what
keeps her away from
I
having
would
to get.
recommend, if y'all want it, and I've suggested it before, is that for her to send, whenever she sends me all the weeklies for the employees, that she sends them to all of y'all, and then y'all can review and go through it. Because the thing is that if I would have never went through it 8 months ago, I would have never been able to bring a stack of paper like this to look in 8 months. There's not one employee that put down one thing of overtime. And then whenever you look, then you say, well, where the hell did they do 335 hours this month? If on the dailies it says they've only done 40 hours this week apiece. That's bad, which it got corrected. I'm guessing, because I haven't seen nothing in a while, in quite a few months. And that's what I try to stay on top of, because now, all this has to reflect on their dailies.
Fingerprint. We start doing fingerprints, or we start doing digital clock-in.
And then I
Gets rid of the cards.
Yeah, and that's a responsibility on our part to make sure. That's why we're here, is to stay on top of this, for all the checks and balances.
I will say on this, the overtime that we're doing with the canal and the culverts that we've replaced, I have it under our grant, which is the $4.4 million, and it is
They give it back to us?
they give that back to us, and we're being reimbursed for that. And that's why I'm really tackling those canals, because it is part of the resilience grant. Okay, it's coming from our budget, but then it's going to be replaced back into our budget with that money.
Do we know when?
I already submitted my first reimbursement. So for the first few culverts that we had switched out, And it's in the second process of the second signatures. I think there's like 3 signatures before we get a check. So we started it, you know, and that's something that's coming back, you know. So it's not like it's physically coming out of our budget. We are gonna be reimbursed. That's why I've separated it, and it states that it is for Canal 13, the cleanup, and the serving and everything that we're doing, so it's not coming out of our budget. But we do have to move in that direction because it's never been touched, and it is part of the flood area that we have the worst condition here in Ventura.
Yes.
So, and because it is part of our grant, we will see that money eventually come back into our budget where it's not, it might look like it's coming out right now, but that is part of it. And I've given the breakdown on Excel spreadsheet to them to show where it would be allocated, how much is going to be allocated. The guys have it on their sheets. I will make sure that you get all of those tomorrow because they've been scanned. We do have them.
Yeah, so that's why I asked, does anybody here on the board have ever heard this?
What's that, reimbursement?
What she's talking about right now? Well, I'm talking about the whole process being documented, it's this, and this, besides today. Because it's not to pick on nobody or not to make a big deal, but it's just to say that that's why these questions have to be asked, because this type of stuff needs to be relayed to us. Because I hate learning about this through having to ask. That's why, you know, when I asked about overtime, I said, well, we're doing this. Like I hate being out of the loop with this and then figuring out this way. So whenever there's certain things like that, say, hey, this is what we're doing overtime, this is what we're doing, because like, this stuff doesn't explain nothing. We see overtime, then I ask, it says, oh, well, it's this. Nobody here knows about that.
Let me ask you next question.
He's still on his report.
In regards to the overtime, it's on the same line. Is necessary to do that overtime? Can we hire another FTE to compensate for that overtime? I was going to make that up as well.
I want to answer that question. So every time, well, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Because, I mean, is it necessary, let me go back, is it necessary to do the overtime? Or is it that we don't have enough staff? But I'm saying, let's hire another FTE to compensate for that, it will be less cost for us.
So I think the last 2 or 3 employees was supposed to, they said, we're going to hire this person to cut down overtime. Didn't happen. We need one more to cut down overtime. Never happened. We're going to hire another one to cut down, and neither one happened. That's why it's all BS. Hate to put it there, but it is, because, you know, here's what if they cut down overtime and you actually see it,
great.
But whenever you don't, and like I said,
but we can do that as a board, Chris. We can do that as a board. Say, hey, no overtime. We can do that as a board. We can mandate that.
Yeah, you know, but me honestly, we have.
Necessary to do overtime? That's the question.
The thing is that it comes at a cost. It always comes at a cost.
100%.
That's why
I don't think so. But again,
The excuse was that they didn't have enough time in the day to finish the project.
it's not as bad.
So I gave more hours. Now there's still not enough time in the day. Now if it's a red ticket item project that needs to get done, okay, no problem. That's fine.
Not every week.
What she's saying is that the overtime that they are accumulating is going to be reimbursed to us through the grant.
We can't bank on that.
We've been waiting on it, and it's breaking into our
We've
budget.
been waiting for 3 years, maybe 2 more years. So by the time we get the money,
my biggest suggestion to y'all, go through all the old budgets, look at all the overtime, and it's just overtime week after week after week after week after this. That's like one of the biggest things you're gonna see. It happened with Edminio whenever he was here. Something I brought up about the overtime and said, oh, we need to. Okay, I get it. Whenever you need to, but is every week a need to? No, absolutely not. Because then the thing is, whenever we start having to trim out stuff, that's something we have to look at. Because now hurricane season comes up, and we crunch that budget down because we end up, then you know. And
So let me ask you, maybe, when they're doing overtime, are they going to the pool to jump on the pool? No. They're working
Yes.
to provide services to the residents of Ventura Ranch. That's why they're doing overtime, to provide services, no.
Continue.
You have the time to talk. You have the time.
Continue.
They are doing work to provide services to the residents of Ventura Ranch Estate, because I've been seeing that. And those services are necessary. Right, Mr. Manager?
In the last, going back to.
No, but my question is,
Yes.
are those services necessary for the residents? Yes or no?
Yes.
So that's why they have the overtime. Because no, if not, we're gonna have 50 people here complaining that they are not receiving services. Right? Because I've been here for 4 years. 4 years. Serving the community, sir. And I do it because I love it. Because I only can pay $50 a month. No, I'm just saying that to everybody in general.
Okay.
And I do
Make
it
sure
because-
to-
so the overtime is necessary to do the work, to provide the services to the community, which Mr. Mata is always asking for services to the community. Right, Mr. Mata? We have to do services to the community, so they're not going to the pool to jump in the pool, okay? So let's be clear on that, please. I just want to be on the record on that, okay? Because I don't know what time on that one. They don't give services to the people, then the people are going to complain.
Absolutely.
So we have to give services to the people. That's what we're doing all.
There has to be a record to show for
She's
it.
showing the record, it's right
And
there.
that's understandable, you know, this is a democracy and
Yes,
we
but
have
I want to explain myself.
we have to hear everyone's
This
side of the
democracy,
fence.
this democracy,
Absolutely.
I want to express my point, because I've been here for 4 years. I've been seeing people coming over here and complain when they don't receive the services.
It's not a complaint.
That's why we have to give them services.
When the citizens speak about something that's not getting done, that it's a service, it's something that we have to do. It's not a
Exactly,
complaint.
that's the same thing why we raise the taxes.
It's not a
Because we
complaint.
have to provide services to
Anybody
the
else have
community.
anything about the overtime?
The only thing like I stated before, the hours that they had before, there shouldn't have been no overtime. The project should have gotten done within their work schedule unless it was an emergency or a red ticket item that needed to get done. If it wasn't any of those, there's no overtime. But as our interim manager did state, we are going to be getting reimbursed for it. If that was to be addressed, then that's a whole different story. But also on the other side of the fence, it's true, we haven't received it and it's biting into our budget. So it comes into this, we have to make a decision. Do we allow our interim manager to continue to allow the workers to do overtime? We are getting it back, so it's not like we're not getting it back.
Some.
But it's not
all of it.
But it's not as of right now. Or do we just say, hey, look, there's no overtime unless it's a red ticket item, and that's a decision the board has to make.
That's
The floor is yours.
That's why this discussion has to be brought up, because the thing is that this has been brought up many times before and it's been kicked around and thrown around, and it's something that if we don't take care of it, or if we don't put this in line to what we want to see, you're going to be raising taxes again at some point. So
that's the inevitable.
it's like I say,
Yeah.
overtime has to be used as needed, not just, hey guys, we're going to just do a little bit more, and it's like, and we're responsible for allowing that. We're responsible for her. She's responsible for the employees. So the employees are only going to do what she asked them to do.
But it comes back to my statement again. All the employees say any day we can put a new manager in there, and all of her day-to-day agenda or policies walk right out the door with her or go back to her office.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm saying they're going to do what they want to do, because if she says don't do this, don't do that, they're going to say okay. And next month when they put a new manager, everything you just said walk right out with you.
Or then they better start firing employees that don't listen to what the manager
And then
says.
what happens? They're gonna come, like I get the calls, like many of us get the calls of complaint, oh this, that. And like I tell them, if it's not a legitimate complaint that you have not addressed to them regarding this and this, I don't wanna hear it.
Yeah, so one more thing, the permits. Anybody that buys whenever it changes ownership of properties, do they have to change the permit in the office to them?
Yes, to their name.
Any reason for that?
We go back and we check the culvert to make sure, because the county is asking for the records to reflect the new owner. So they come here first and they say, hey, we just bought this property. And then we're like, okay, so we're gonna go and check the culvert to make sure it's still in good standing. Whether it was last year or 2 years or 3 years ago. We're gonna go, we do an inspection to make sure that it is correct, and we charge $75 and we change everything to their name with the updated inspection that we give them.
Yeah, that's something I want to probably talk about next time.
That's fine.
Because every time somebody changes, it's like $75 or this. It's like,
What's for the overtime? That's probably because of what the county now, we're part of the CO for the county. The county doesn't give a CO
Yeah, but they
until
still
we sign off.
they still should come to the office regardless of anything. Yeah, they still come here regarding that. We should be the last ones to give them approval because we had people, neighbors, they just plowed over all their property, messed up the swell, messed up the road. And this is when Armenia was here. And I said, hi, I'm your, I didn't say who I was for the board. I said, hi, I'm your neighbor. And they said, okay. I said, you just messed up the whole swell. Oh, we'll fix it. They didn't fix it. When I told Armenia, I said, hey, you need to come address this to them. They said, oh, we're going to put a new house. Okay, when? They never did it. The swell stayed messed up because they said they were going to fix it. Armenia went back out there and said, you need to fix this swell because you didn't pull no permits, you didn't do any of this. And because we were the first ones, the county said, we'll support you. The county backed us on it. They came and they fixed that whole swell. If not, that road would have still been messed up.
Sure.
And now there's no house there. There's nothing.
Yeah, it just sometimes seems excessive because if property gets sold 3 times in a year, and let's say at the beginning of the year somebody put in a culvert and then they sell it, sell it to me, and I go, I get it transferred $75, same culvert, and then we sell it to Mr. Mata, and then Trentano, and so on. It's like
Change of hands.
It's like
Change of hand. It's change of hands. I think Central County is doing a great job. I've spoken to other water control districts. I even spoke to other multi-purpose districts, and what they pay in fee, what they charge in fees for culverts for half of the stuff we do, we should start charging that. But you know what? We don't. We're considerate. We listen to our constituents, and that's what I like about our community. But yeah, we're nowhere near what we should be at at our age of our district.
Yeah. So last thing is that I've been driving around noticing. I spoke to you the other day about it. That there's a lot of trees that are actually growing into the middle of the roads where you can barely even pass, and I've seen a lot of that in a lot of places and stuff. And I think that's something that really needs to get addressed because I know the sidearm we have it there and it hasn't really been utilized. And we start utilizing a lot of the equipment that
We have a mulching machine as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it has a mulching head on it and it has a
No, we actually have a mulching head
no.
as well.
I know it's bought through John Deere. There's a mulching head and then there's a cutter.
Correct.
It's got 3 blades on it.
Correct.
Yeah, but I don't know.
Sidearm.
The mulching head is operational or is it still broken?
No, we got all the parts.
Got it all fixed?
Yeah, they fixed it.
Yeah.
So that's fixed, and there was just one of the nuts on where the hydraulic fluid goes in for the mower,
Okay.
and they just fixed that. So it's up and running.
Yeah,
That happened within this week that it was going on.
Yeah, because every weekend I try to ride around. I take a lot of pictures. One of the things that I do want to do within the next couple months, if we could get a big TV, even if I got to donate it, we could put it here somewhere. And I could hook up my laptop and all these pictures that I take that I'm talking about. I could actually show you streets. It doesn't show up that good. It's
Crappy.
No. We got HD TV. I'll donate if I have to. We put it there. We can hook up a laptop to it. So when I show pictures, you can see the streets and how the branches are literally in the middle of the roads and stuff like that, where we get a better visual of some of the stuff that we see and then make her more aware of it and stuff like that. I think it's something that'd be good if we start gearing towards that. So.
Agreed.
That's it. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay. Supervisor Mata?
I've got one thing. In reference to this list of complaints on the roads, I just would like an update on where we're at and how we're tackling them and what is priority, because the list keeps getting larger and I don't know how to read them. If they've been addressed, not been addressed, this, that, and the other. So if you could give me an updated list with the actual date. I think I went like 2 years back with you. I want to know exactly where we're at, because in my opinion, if something is open from, it's not open, it says closed, but if something is open from 1/3/2022 and it's not been addressed, it's 2 years later, when is it going to be addressed? So again, I want an updated list. I like the list. I'm glad that people are calling in. And I want to see us do our part as far as customer service, customer relations, addressing these issues and trying to get them done in a timely manner. And maybe there might be need for overtime or more employees, because this list is pretty big. Just this list is pretty big.
Follow through.
And we do
Follow through. Agree. Follow through.
And we do have a second grader that operational works, or is it still because transmission isn't good?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's there. It works.
Yeah, 'cause I mean, we have 2 graders. If we get people to start going out and dividing it up, I think they cover more. I mean, I would like to see something like that more than anything, even like ditch maintenance, you know. If we don't get back in ditch maintenance, you know, somebody asked me, do I think that we're gonna flood like 2017? I told them absolutely, and they said, why? Because no ditches has been done.
Funny you say that, I'll let you finish.
And then even though, you know, there has been culvert improvements, but if it doesn't convey to that, then we're gonna relive a 2007. Montura's gonna flood regardless of just how long is it gonna be, days, weeks, you know, so that's what we gotta look more forward to.
Yeah, so on that subject, in our region, in Florida, being part of this, and you should have received the email as well, the special districts, they have a group that goes to all other areas, and when we have a lot of rain, they measure which district has had water that touched the crown of the road, which is a big no-no.
Sure.
Out of all of the districts, we were the only ones on that list, and I'll send that list to everybody to see it. We were the only ones that did not have no water that touched the crown of our road. They do aerial, and they also do one drive-by. Sometimes it's either the day after or a couple days after. But within that report, you can see even on the news and other pictures that they submit. Some districts, there was water on the road for 4 or 5 hours, even a day. You had one where the whole city was completely underwater.
Sure.
Even in LaBelle, parts of LaBelle and Port LaBelle were flooded. Clewiston, there was parts of Clewiston that had water on the road, but for Montura, there was none.
Because we've taken an aggressive approach.
Yeah,
We're doing overtime.
we did. We took an aggressive approach to address that issue, and our pumps were on and doing what they need to do. So we can't always point and say, "Hey, management's not doing what they have to do." She's doing a great job. You know, there's still improvement for growth, but yeah, we just need to get better on our customer service and saying, "Hey, we're busy, but we'll be down there." Showing up, you know, being present, sending our admin assistant saying, "Hey, you know, I'm with the office. We're coming out to see your road. We'll be out here." That just helps us communicate that very well for some of our communities. Do you have anything you'd like to say on your monthly report?
No, I don't have nothing to say.
Okay.
We have a say, you know.
Okay. Since that's everything, thank you all for coming here. I apologize for the long meeting. We just needed to make sure we addressed all this stuff with our budget workshop. Everyone have a great day and get home safe. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.